like giving me a.
There you go.
There we go. A premium account on X is required to create live broadcasts on their platform. So X is out for me. I don't have that premium account over there. Why should I pay? We got 2 people viewing. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, it doesn't. Oh, we're not live yet. Okay, now
Yeah, we
so
are.
I gotta edit. I gotta edit it. Are you sure? Because it says.
Yeah, it says
Okay,
live on the
we
top
are.
left.
Okay. All right. All right. Yeah, no, it was telling me, you sure you want to go live? I'm like, I don't know. Am I in the dark? I got an extra light over here. I like
Nah, that's
this.
cool.
How do I look? Wow, I'm awake. I'm awake. It's, what is it? 7:19. I got cash. Where's my cash at? I got the cash. I made the sale. Somebody bought something off me. And you know what I told them before they left? If that breaks, I want you to come right back and I'll give you all your money back. I want no hard feelings. $40, man. $40. We got says 6 viewers, so I guess Twitter's working on your end. I got to get that Twitter going, I guess. Maybe I do need to be a premium. Hello, everybody, and welcome to my YouTube channel, and welcome Tyrone. And that's Rebirth of the Word. And Rebirth of the Word, it has a lot of meanings. I've been thinking about the title of your channel. Tell us all about it.
You know, it's just basically, everybody says God is word, or the Bible is the word, or what somebody says is the word. And I'm trying to redo what the word is, because only people are going off of just basic feelings instead of basic facts. Give an example of we about to talk about the Epic of Gilgamesh. A lot of people talk about the Epic of Gilgamesh, but they don't realize that the stories within the tablets are sometimes, depending on what you want to look at it as, it could be fiction, right? I mean, I talked about that when I did my live a couple of days ago about how people have to pay attention to the context that is being used and stuff like that. And it's just I'm trying to just, since I was blown up in Afghanistan and wounded and I died on the battlefield and had to be revived, it's a rebirth for me. This, everything that I'm doing is a rebirth, and that's why it's a major meaning for me. Just getting down to the back to being lively, I guess.
Were you a reader before you were blown up in Afghanistan?
Not even close, bro. I did not like reading at all when I was much younger. When I was much younger, all I did really was watch documentaries and YouTube. I didn't really have time to watch, or read books. For one, knowing that how much money I spent on books already as it is, I know for a fact my parents wouldn't have been able to buy me these books. And I know everybody say, well, you could have went to the library and this, that, and the third and all this other stuff. But that was still out of the question for me too, because I really didn't have no rides there. And then when I got my driver's license, I did what most teenagers did. I went out there to have fun as a teenager. And then as soon as I joined the military, I kept getting deployed back to back to back. When I got deployed one year, I knew that I was going to come back for another year, and then I was going to be right back out there again, and within the next year. So, I didn't really want to sit down and read. I wanted to go out there and enjoy my life that I had, and I'm glad I did, because my last tour was I was technically dead. That could have been the end of it. That was
that's why you have the rebirth of the word, but you also have the rebirth of yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So now I got all the stuff out of my system that that I did when I was younger. I'm much older. I got a family. I got things going for me and stuff like that. And now I'm just sitting up here and just, doing what I love. I used to love playing video games. I still do, but I don't play them like I used to. I am going to be playing GTA 6 a lot when it comes out. Matter of fact, you probably won't get no historical shit out of me for at least 6 months when GTA 6 come out, because that's probably what I'll play for for a while. And that probably be the last GTA that I'll probably be able to play, because they come out on so long.
I have to be honest, I don't do the video games at all. I play chess online. I play poker. That's free poker, and that means
shit. I play really chess poker too.
Yeah, come on, man. Let's do it. You want to do it right now?
We should stream playing chess. Shit, I'm telling you, I used to, when I was in high school. You know, every day at lunch, I used to go play chess with this one dude, and I can't remember his name for to save my life. But we used to. I don't even know how we hooked up, man. We never really talked. We just go in the library, and it's funny that you asked me if I read books because I used to go to the library at lunch every day to go play chess with him, and we would play the whole 30, 45 minutes that our lunch break was. Like I wouldn't get no
it's
lunch
like
or nothing.
You knew how to read. It wasn't like you were like going through high school not reading. You knew how to read. You just weren't interested.
No, I
in
would
it, like
read.
Me.
I would read. My favorite subject was history, and I loved science. I hated math. Math was the only subject that I hate. Even to this day, I still hate math. But what I would do is, you know, you get your textbooks from school, and I would read the whole entire science book. I would read the whole entire history book. I would read those, and that was probably the only place that I would read. What really got me interested in wanting to know more about what I did was I don't know what I did that got me grounded, but I was grounded for like 3 or 4 months for some reason. And I couldn't watch no TV, play no video games, or do none of that. And then somehow I came in contact with this book called The Animorphs. I don't know if you ever watched that show Animorphs or heard about Animorphs, but it's basically about some teenagers that have the ability to
ANI animation ANIM and then ORSE like a horse. Morphs. Animorphs.
Yeah.
Animorphs.
Yeah. I used to read. I read their books, and that's where it got me interested in like some of the extraterrestrial alien shit. I mean, I was already interested because of the Phoenix Lights and what happened to Travis Walton and stuff like that. But when I read that book, I was like, man, this shit is pretty interesting. And then I read their whole series, and I read it over and over again.
Was the guy? It's been a while, but he got
kidnapped by aliens.
Right? Kidnapped.
Yep.
Yeah, Travis Walton's story. I do recall when our guy. I can't really do an impression of him. What's his name? He did him in the movie. It's all right. Ooh. It's a long time ago. I need more cowbell. That guy.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because, like I said, I never really used to read like that. I never really did, and I think what made me really pick up. Well, honestly, what really made me pick up books was I got tired of watching YouTube. I felt like I came to the point where watching all these YouTube and documentaries, I needed to sit down and actually read the text for myself because because everybody would, you know, it's like a movie. Somebody trying to describe a movie to you, right? The whole hour and 30 minute movie.
I just watched your video. You said the same thing in your video, and we need to get back to that. Before we do, let me say one thing. I also haven't done a lot of reading recently, but when it came to Graham Hancock, I was in Taiwan. I was actually kind of poor, and I've got a job earning $50 a day working at this house, fixing it up. And I didn't care. Because I had a couple things, a little bit of something to smoke, and then there was the Graham Hancock videos on, and I got the books now, and I'll pull them out soon, not this time, but next time. But he also has his audio books up on, like you can literally hear them for free. I asked him directly when I met him. I said, I owe you, man, because I listened to all your stuff for free. He's like, no, you don't owe me. And then later I've learned he did that on purpose. The dude is generous, man. And so anyways, his top 3 books, you know, Fingerprints of the Gods. And that was back in like 2018, 2019, maybe even 2020 when I finally got the books. And actually I have a story. I went to the bookstore in Taipei and found Graham Hancock's book. Which I think it was the newest one that he had done called America's Before. And I dropped it. Okay, I put it back up on the shelf. It literally dropped down on my girlfriend's head and almost cut her. It almost cut her forehead, bro. And like literally, it was a very embarrassing moment when Graham Hancock's book, it's so big and the newest version so sharp, and it fell and it hit her right in the head. And the bookstore person came running. Anyways, we're back up to 10 viewers. Let's keep those viewers and get back. Epic of Gilgamesh. I'm looking at your most recent videos. Why isn't it showing? I'm looking and it says, notify me. Where did all these gods come from? Is that you? Rebirth of the Word?
Yeah, that's not going to come out until the 1st. That's a
Okay.
scheduled
All right.
video.
Then the next one shows the history of the Kohari tribe.
Oh yeah, that's
what's going on here?
That's from my homie from
Okay, it's not right. Where is the Epic of Gilgamesh? It's not showing. Is that alive?
Yeah, that's on the live.
That's alive. It's alive. All right. Mm-hmm. Okay, back to that. Now I'm at your lives. Okay, there it is. Yesterday. Yeah, I didn't get very far into it. So tell us everything about who wrote it. Listen, let's do the who, what, way, where, who. The who, what, why, where, how. And we're talking about, there it is. Who wrote that? Andrew, translated.
Andrew.
Okay, let's not talk about Andrew, the translator. Let's talk about the original text. What year was it written? Was it Gilgamesh himself or what?
Well, see, nobody really knows who wrote it. That most of these stories, these oral traditional stories that were taken from being passed through speaking to recording, was through people who decided to send their kids to like schools and stuff like that. It was just a lot of people say these stories were created to entertain the king, basically, or the queen, depending on the
was it oral or in cuneiform? I thought it was found in
in cuneiform. It was in cuneiform, but it came from an oral story, and so there's different versions of it. There's not just one complete story. Just think of it like the Holy Bible, how you have the King James version, the New International Version, the Geneva version, the New Jerusalem version, and you have Mormonism, and then you have Jehovah's Witness, and you have every other, all these other texts that talk about, a so-called powerful God.
By the way, sorry to interrupt you, but now that you're talking about the Bible, I just learned today, and I should have known it already, that Abraham was born in Mesopotamia, in Ur, the city of Ur. That's basically Sumeria, right? I mean, next door.
This is a good point that you bring up, because I talk about this a lot. So Abraham hit the Abrahamic faith, or monotheistic religion, started around 2000 BC. They're not sure, exactly when it was, but give or take about 2000 BC. The Sumerian civilization started around 3200 BC, which is around, the time where they started their writing system in pictographic script, but it wasn't for stories; it was for trading. Then
slow down. I'm sorry to interrupt you, and now I'm offended. Megan Young says, I would go to the ancient cities and see the truth, Will Ferrell. Wait a minute. Is that me? Am I Will Ferrell? Is that you? Wait a minute. So you've been to the ancient cities.
Nothing like Will Ferrell. Yeah, I've been to Iraq.
You've been to Iraq, and I wanted to check that because we were talking about that offline, and we off the internet, and I wasn't sure if you had just been to Afghanistan or Iraq, and you've seen these ancient sites. And I've been to 35 countries. I've been to 35 countries, Megan. What's her name? Megan Young. Megan Young. I've been to 35 countries, and yeah. So we don't need to make a joke. Will Ferrell's nice because I want to do comedy. Anyways, I interrupted you. You were talking about Abraham in the Bible being born in. I brought it up, Ur.
Yeah. So the fact that he was born, or the monotheistic Abrahamic faith started around 2000 BC. That's just like you said, that's Mesopotamia, and within that time frame, it only makes sense that Abraham knew about the Anuna / the Anunnaki. The question is which one of those gods that he chose to worship, because you remember Abraham prayed to a God for his son Isaac, right? He wanted a son, and he finally got one. But which God did he pray to? Now, what I do know is not the only, but the God that had to do with fertility in Sumeria was Ishtar, and that's a goddess. That's a female. So my question is, and if you know about the God that's in, I guess you can say, in Abrahamic faith, he's either he's a man or a woman. It's not. Some people say he's a man, but some people say it was a woman God. And my question is, what did Abraham prayed to Ishtar for Isaac, because that's the story. He wanted a child. He got one. He wanted a son. He got one, and then he started worshiping one God, and that's where we got the monotheistic religion from.
Right. That's the whole Abraham and okay. And the funny thing, just so many things to think about here, but yeah, never mind. I forgot what I was gonna say. So, how many other Bible figures can you place in Sumeria? I mean, Moses was definitely Egypt. So,
Yeah,
who
Moses
else
had
do
to
I know?
definitely. Well, see, that's another good point, because the Abraham, or the monotheistic religion, started from Abraham, right? And we know for a fact that when you, how can I say it? When you when he was praying for his son Isaac to have a son, he finally was given that opportunity to have one. But the problem is that we also have to remember God tested him, right? That, take your son to the mountain, sacrifice him, and blah, blah, blah. And even though Abraham wanted to have that son, he was willing to sacrifice his son to a God. Well, the Abrahamic faith is not just one God. We know that in the sense
Oh,
of
that's
when
what
you
I was
read the
going to
Old
say.
Testament.
I remember now what I was going to say, and that is that. So, from my understanding, back when I was studying Aztec in university, they had their patron saints, and what it was when the Spanish brought in the Christianity, they didn't give up all their different gods. They just kind of reduced them to patron saint level, and you can see that everywhere down in I don't know about Peru very much, but in Guatemala, in Mexico, and even in the USA, even in throughout Europe, you have patron saints. And I believe that those patron saints were the local gods that they normally, until they were replaced by Christianity, but those patron saints didn't disappear. So you can see that a lot, even like in Monterey when I was in DLI. By the way, I'm wearing my sweatshirt, Defense Language Institute. That's where I learned
It's
Chinese.
funny. I'm wearing my Wounded Warrior shirt. Shout out to all the veterans out there. All the wounded veterans out there.
Just came and went. Well, and that's why the subject of Iraq came up, because you've been to these places that we're talking about right now. Epic of Gilgamesh. Hey, let's get back into it. So, because the Abraham thing was, like I said, I'd like to do a deep dive on all the people in the Bible and where they were supposed to have been born. For some reason, we have Ur as a real place now for Abraham. I guess.
Yeah.
I guess the Bible said it. The Bible didn't say Ur, but it said something that was translatable into that city. I kind of want to show that on the map, but kind of lazy.
Nah, bring it up if you got it.
Well, I have to share my screen.
But not for nothing. In the Bible, it does talk about or your. I call it your. It's easier for me to pronounce.
Really?
That way. Yeah, that's how I pronounce it. But they definitely talk about it. I believe it's in Genesis 11:28 through 31. Let me look at. I'm pretty sure it's Genesis 11 through 11:20 through 31, when Abraham when Abraham called this homeland Ur of the Chaldeans. Let me see. I'm pretty sure it is. Let me see. Genesis 11:28. 31. I'm pretty sure it is that. Yeah, King James Version, it says, and Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity in Ur of the Chaldees. So yeah, it definitely talks about that in the Bible. So that's where a lot of people get the idea. Remember the last episode that we talked about, the last live that we did, I talked about how Shinar and Sumer is one and the same. And the Bible is called Shinar, but in Mesopotamia, the Sumerians, Akkadians, and so on and so forth called it Sumer. So Sumer and Shinar is the same exact place. And we actually brought that up on the map too. So
So let me see if I can make this full size.
But see, I want to go back to what you was talking about with Moses. Remember how you said you talked about Moses, right? And you said that you talked about the Abrahamic faith and you talked about Egypt. Let's not forget that in Egypt, Akhenaten was also the one who took all the polytheistic religion or gods and made it into a monotheistic religion. And there are actually texts out there from Sigmund Freud that talks about how Moses and Akhenaten is possibly one and the same.
Right. I just saw that today. It's very interesting you brought that up.
Yeah, I think it's
honestly,
I think it's called Moses and monotheism, if I'm not mistaken.
Right,
But
and
yeah,
that one God, like you just mentioned it, I just saw that, and that one God, that one not God, Pharaoh of Egypt, was he was messing around with monotheism, and I just saw that.
It was his sun god. It was his sun god.
So here we are looking at the Persian Gulf and going into Iraq, and it's all named differently now, right? And I can change it to this for a bit, just so we can kind of see more clearly the interpretations by the map. What's going on here? Why is it doing that?
Type in in the search Google Earth and see if it.
Well, I mean, I already know it's. I mean, if I don't have it correct right now, all these names are all different, but I'm sure it's like right around here. It doesn't really matter that much, but it's definitely Mesopotamia, not Egypt. I mean, I got to reread the Bible myself. Let's go on to the Epic of Gilgamesh. And by the way, I got a message. I want to see who's messaging. Just in case it's related to this live stream. Where is the Epic of Gilgamesh taking place?
Well,
Bernie says his phone was off. I'll tell him to join as soon as possible. We're here.
You said Bernie's about to
We're live now, Bernie, but please join as soon as possible. We're here. Tyrone and myself talking about the Epic of Gilgamesh right now. All right, there you go. So I just messaged him. I gave him the link right on his phone. Oh, my phone's. Anyways, so back to what I was saying. Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, like the Epic of Gilgamesh. Where did it take place? Is it down in?
It's supposed to be Sumer. It's supposed because the original story comes from Sumer, the Sumerians. They just don't have a complete story.
Sumer was basically where my mouse is now, right? Basically right here.
Where Iraq is at. It's where. No, that's not.
Where is Iraq at? I thought Iraq was Baghdad.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Iraq. This is Iraq. Oh, okay.
No,
so there's a line for Iraq. Okay, I see. There's the line for Iraq. So and that's Iran over there. So we're in Iraq still. I didn't realize that because I thought it was kind of containing this city over here as well. So Sumer is definitely in Iraq, you say?
Sumer is in southern Iraq because you got to remember the Akkadians with northern Iraq. So the Sumer was more like
sure.
So you have cities
Baghdad is Arcadia, right? Up where it says right there, Iraq, where my mouse is showing. Up there, that's Akkad. Up here, from what I've seen, and down here is like Sumer and Ur and Uruk.
Yeah, there was different city states. Yeah, like York, Eridu, Lagash, Nippur. There was a couple of other different city states, but those are the main ones. That's the main ones that you'll hear or read in most of the text. You'll mostly probably read about York, and Eridu. Nippur is mentioned a lot because it's also known as, remember from the last stream, it's actually a city which is known as Nibiru/Nibiru. It's not a planet that orbits our sun every 3,600 years, and that's not where the Anunnaki came from. Nippur is the I guess you can say the
keep talking. I get it.
I'm not going to say where the gods came from, but where they. Yeah, Nippur is Nibiru. I mean, if you want to talk about the gods coming from a Nibiru or Nibiru location, that would be Nippur. You know, that's just what. If you want to look at it as the Anunnaki/Anuna coming from Nibiru, that's where you would look at for that particular location. Akkad, the Akkadians were further north. That's more closer to Baghdad and stuff like that. And they had different city states also. But after Sargon of Akkad took over, or Sargon the Great, or whatever people want to name him, he brought the two locations together. Even though, and it's just weird that they call it Sumer, because a Sumer is like a general location, you know, with different city states. Same thing with the Akkadians you know, or even the Babylonians, because the Akkadian, it all became the Chaldeans and Babylonians afterward. But I do have a 1873 original Bible that I have myself, original, and they say in that Bible, it says that the Chaldeans, Sumerians, and the Babylonians are one and the same. But it's just weird because you can't really get a definite answer on it, because even within their own city states, they had different beliefs about the Anuna/Anunnaki. Like some people believe that there were 12 gods, some believe that there was only 6 gods, or main gods, I should say, not gods in general, but main gods. They only had certain main gods. And you know, different individuals were in charge of different places. So that brings the whole thing up. Like Epic of Gilgamesh. In the book, Gilgamesh was a king/god, right? His mother was a goddess, and you know, if you just look at the story, he was a tyrant. This dude was a tyrant. Matter of fact, you know who Nebuchadnezzar is, right?
No.
So some people believe he was a king/god also. And Saddam Hussein at one time, when he was alive, used to always say that he was the reincarnated Nebuchadnezzar.
And was this part of the story?
No, not part of the story, but I wanted to bring that up because, you know, they always say that these gods always come into different forms.
Okay, so let's go over this story. I just want to try to get, by the way, there's a few new viewers. I can see we're up to almost 20. It's kind of going up and down. And I think we got the when you said was like 2000. That's exactly what chat says, ChatGPT, 4,000 years ago. And the where is definitely Sumer. Also, I'm seeing it's originated Sumer, Akkad, Babylon. Can you comment on those differences?
Yeah, they just had different stories. So Gilgamesh wasn't always known as Gilgamesh. Some of the older texts, and even some of the texts later texts, his name was Bilgamesh. So instead of having a G, it was a B. So it's linguistically the way they translated it, his name was different. So some people would say Gilgamesh, but if I was in a room full of, you know, educated minded people, you know, just to see how intelligent they were and educated they were on the subject, I would be like Bilgamesh. And if they looked at me funny and said, who the hell is that? Then I would know that they don't know what the story is, because he wasn't always known as Gilgamesh. That's just the easiest way. Just like if I walked into a room full of intelligent people, instead of saying the word Anunnaki, I would say the Anuna. They would be like, who the hell is that? Well, that's what the Sumerians actually called them. The Sumerians called them the Anuna. And I would explain to them that, you know, the Akkadians is the one who came up with the word or translated it differently to the Anunnaki.
I was looking at this right here. Let me see if I can make it bigger. Because I was looking for the same words, and you say, okay, so here's Enkidu. Let me just go over it.
That's his best friend, or was his best friend.
So they prepare for battle together, because I thought they were going to fight each other. I haven't
so they
read
did
this,
fight
by
each
the way.
other. They did fight each other. So the story behind Enkidu and Gilgamesh is, okay, so Gilgamesh was a tyrant. Okay, there's a word for, and I can't remember how to
Totally says that right here. It says Gilgamesh is a tyrant. That's exactly what it says here. So you nailed that part. And then it says gods create Enkidu in tablets 1 and 2. Shamhat civilizes Enkidu. What is Enkidu? A person
Enkidu,
who needed.
Yeah, he's considered what is known as a wild man. So Enkidu was a wild man. So think of it as, and I like to compare him to Bigfoot. And the reason why is because his depictions are with horns sometimes, and his lower half of his body are what we would consider, like ox legs or some kind of bull type legs, to describe that he was half human, half animal. That was that's the way they depicted him, because pictographic script told a language. You just had to understand what that language was. So he was depicted as a half man, half woman, or half man, half animal. And there was the gods created him because the men of the city were upset at Gilgamesh, because Gilgamesh would have physical relationships with newly wedded brides before the men could, right? Like he would take them for a night or whatever and do, basically have a physical relationship with them and then send them off. Well, the men would complain to the gods. So the gods eventually created Enkidu. That's the story, that they created Enkidu to go fight Gilgamesh. And they actually went to go have a fight. They actually had a fight. It got to the point where they both had a truce. And after the fight and after the truce was made, they became best friends. Well, I guess the fight was so crazy to the point where Gilgamesh realized that he wasn't going to live forever. So he came up with a plan with Enkidu to go into, basically go talk to this individual named Sutra or Atrahasis, which is the same individual as Noah. And Noah, Noah was given the right to, he was supposed to live forever, because after the flood and all this other stuff, it's part of the stories. And so he went to go talk to him, and that's when they Sutra or Atrahasis went to go tell Gilgamesh, hey, you can find this plant in the sea to live forever. And he actually found that plant, and he came back, but when he was going back to his city home, he went to go take a bath somewhere, or do whatever he wanted to do in some kind of water, and some kind of snake took that plant away from him. And that's when he realized that he's just going to die just regularly.
So it says here, meets this is in tablet number 11. Meets, is that what you were just talking about?
Yeah, that's what I meant. You naps him. That's the Noah guy.
What do you mean Noah guy?
So Noah, the flood, right, in the Bible, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So
and you said, and by the way, this word Enki was Noah's grandfather, right? The book of Enki, and then we see Enkidu in the first two tablets. It sounds like, it sounds a lot more complicated than I thought. We have this flood story in the Epic of Gilgamesh, but I'm not seeing it here. Where's the flood?
Well, that's that. Matter of fact, you just missed it. It did say it.
Oh, there it is. Oh, there it is, right there.
So you have Atrahasis, you have Utnapishtim. I can never say that name right. And then you have Sutra. Now, all three of those individuals have a similar story as the story in the Holy Bible about Noah. It's just slightly different. And it's slightly different because one is Sumerian, one is Babylonian, one is Akkadian. But these are just general locations. The city-states themselves is where you get, most of the difference in it.
Right. And according to what I just read, it was all these places like Babylon and okay, look at this part here. Themes: mortality versus immortality, friendship and grief, the meaning of civilization, heroism and legacy. How many pages did you have to read here? How many words is it? The limits of human power.
On this book alone from Andrew George, there is, hold on, let's see. There are a total of, I'm at the 220 pages. That's
not okay. So it's not really, that's okay. That's a decent, it's not too long. It's like, that's 100 sheets. Yeah.
I read about on a daily basis, I try at bare minimum read at least 100 pages. So I would probably finish this book in 2 days if I
Right.
read constantly. But yeah, I try my best to read at least 100 pages. But I do read 6 to 8 hours a day. But it's just not one book that I read 6 to 8 hours a day. I also take a lot of classes online too, so I read a lot of stuff from online sources too, like PDFs, peer-reviewed articles, and so on and so forth. So if I just focus on one book, I could probably finish this book probably like in a day and a half, 2 days. So it's
Yeah,
not
I
really
bet you
hard.
could finish it in a day. 200 pages in a day, probably. Honestly, I mean, you
Yeah,
just
it's
have
not.
to
It's
sit
not.
there.
It's not enough.
I need to get new glasses before I start taking on books. I have a lot of reading glasses, but I need some new pairs, and these are not prescription here. Also, for night driving, I need glasses as well. That's irrelevant. It says that it impacted the Noah narrative
Yeah,
and earlier Atrahasis story. What's that?
yeah. That's the one that I'm saying. The Atra Hasis. That's what I call.
What's
That's what
that?
I say. I've heard.
I,
That's the same thing. That's the
now that
same
I'm looking
story
at
as that's the Akkadian version, actually. That's the Akkadian, well,
oh,
Akkadian
I
slash
see.
Babylonian. It's Akkadian slash Babylonian. It's weird because, like I said, just because it says it's Akkadian, it's written probably in the Akkadian writing system, but it's in the Babylonian time frame. So you have to pay attention. You have to know the time frame. So it's probably best to say like when was the Atra Hasis, and it should give you anywhere from 18 to 1700 BC. But that would be. But we know that the
Well, now I
Akkadian
got this
civilization.
12
Yeah,
clay tablets. Wow. And it says here the flood story is on tablet 11, like you just pointed out, parallels the story of Noah. It says here mainly Uruk, modern day Warka, Iraq. I'm gonna search that one right now, real quick. And then the last thing is that it goes back to 2700 BCE. So not just 4,000, but more like 5,000 years ago. Let's look for that while you
yeah.
respond.
But see, this is the thing with Gilgamesh's story. That the reason why it says probably is because it wasn't recorded in that time frame. It was just the depictions is how they know there was a Gilgamesh in the Sumerian civilization. So when we look at cuneiform tablets, the cuneiform tablets are mostly around. It's kind of hard to say. It gives or take dates, but they look at the depictions and say, okay, the depiction that the tablet says this individual looked like this, and we found depictions that look like this. So they say, okay, that's that individual. It's the same thing like with you. If you was to write an article and nobody ever had a picture of you, right? But in that article you described yourself having, whatever type of beanie hat you have, you have your yellow glasses on and you have this sweater wearing, right? Then, they would be like, well, obviously, yeah, they would be like, oh, well, that's Stig. And
right.
it's because you described yourself and you have a depiction of yourself, but you also described yourself in the cuneiform tablet. So it's kind of like I always try to tell people when you look at a story, when somebody says the Akkadian said something, if they say, the Atra Hasis, right? And they say the Akkadian said this, I'm gonna say, well, do you know what time frame the Atra Hasis is? And they'll be like, well, yeah, that's the Akkadians. It was around 1700 BC. And I said, that's also the time frame of the Babylonians. And they'll be like, well, it says Akkadian. Yes, it does say Akkadian. The reason why it says Akkadian is because they're using that type of writing system. From what I've read personally, and this is just from what I've read personally, the Sumerian writing system in itself went from 3200 BC to 1 AD. They were using that writing system up until 1 AD. And
we said 37 BC, 3700 BC. 32. Okay. So basically 3200 years up until the change in BC to AD. 0 year, the beginning of the Pisces age. Wow. That's a long time for a language, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Oh, the first word. What does it say here? The first written word started here.
Yeah, but see, but
This is Baruch.
yeah, what I want to do say is that it wasn't an active language, just like how Latin is still used today, but they're saying it's a dead language now, but people still write in Latin and still speak in Latin. It's the same thing for the Sumerians. It wasn't an active language that everybody used. It was only a certain group of individuals. And those certain group of individuals were like kings and queens and, higher up type individuals. So it wasn't
Right.
something
Just like Egyptian as well, right? There were two versions.
Yeah, exactly. Good. That's a perfect ass example. The hieroglyphs from Egypt. That's a perfect example. The hieroglyphics from Egypt. It's not an active language as today, or so-called, what they say, but it is still to this day. People read it. Some people speak it. And some people, in so many ways, still write in it.
Say that one last time, because there was a glitch. I couldn't hear. The last line was, and so many people are still what? Writing it?
Still using it. Yeah, still writing it. Still writing
still
in
using
hieroglyphs.
it.
Yeah.
This
So
picture right here, this reminds me. I don't even know if this is a rook or because this is something online. But look at that brickwork right there. And then look how it's like abandoned. Like if you go down to Mexico along the beach, and even down in Africa, in like Namibia, you find abandoned houses, not this nice, but they're abandoned from the last 100 years. People tried to have a civilization there, and they failed. And here you're seeing a civilization. I don't know what we're seeing, if this is a rook or not, but it looks like, because it's 1 out of 20 images of a rook. And I really feel like it reminds me of that same thing where, like, this was a nice tried civilization, but they just failed. And I don't know if this is the same time period as, say, the Epic of Gilgamesh. This could only be like 500 years old, But the fact is that they keep trying.
Yeah, see, that's why I always say that it's just important to understand that these time frames people are giving, they're giving it off of, radiocarbon, certain artifacts, and going off of, how can I say, the cuneiform tablets themselves. But a lot of the cuneiform tablets, like I said, the Sumerian civilization, their writing system started at 3200 BC, but it wasn't to record mythology, history, or anything like that. It was started because they were trading with the Akkadians and the surrounding cities. You can find a lot. Matter of fact, the Ubadians, if you go to ChatGPT right now and you type in Ubadians, or just type in the people that inhabited the land of Sumer before the Sumerians, you will find that there were, that's where most people get the reptilian artifacts from. That's where you get the reptilian idea of these individuals. Like, and when I say reptilian artifacts, it's almost like you can see a reptilian type extraterrestrial demon, or whatever you want to call it, entering or leaving somebody's body. The Ubadians came way before look at all that. That's their pictograph. That, remember when I talked about pictographic script from the Sumerians, because their shit started off as a pictographic script. You can find the same thing in the Ubadians. They have their own pictographic script. The only thing is we don't understand their language because they didn't have a cuneiform or an advanced writing system. The Ubadians is basically that their stuff started as probably the groundwork for the Sumerians. And you see where it says 6500 to 3800 BC.
Damn, that's old. You don't get that's prehistory right there for sure. I mean, that's like on your way to the Göbekli Tepe. Yeah.
Now look up the individuals that came before them. It just keeps getting weirder and weirder. When you ask ChatGPT who came before the Ubadians, you'll get another group of the individuals. and then you'll
Well,
and
the
it
thing
just
about
keeps.
that is they're basing it on one archaeological dig, right? And they're like, oh, this is from this one single dig, and we have all this knowledge now. When you never know. Okay, I'll write it. Go on.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Is that and it's funny you say that, because when you read the Bible or read about the Bible, uh, the archaeologists at that time, the whole reason why they found, you see the Samara culture, which is 6300 to 57 BC, and you can see what the key traits is: irrigated agriculture. So people like to say that the Sumerians are the first people who, because the Sumerians actually have a cuneiform tablet called the Farmer's Almanac. It's basically how they did agriculture, but you can see that they had agriculture way before that. I mean, agriculture goes back almost 50,000 years, depending on what you consider agricultural needs, right? But let me read that. It says, what do you do if you realize that the whole history is fake, all of it? Well, that's a good question. What do you do when you realize that it's all fake? Well, you do what I do. You pick up the books, because what we're talking about is Sumerians and at the Epic of Gilgamesh. And what I like to do is every book that I read that you can see, I make sure that I have tabs on them. So every book that I has tabs on, and this is what's interesting to me. Now, everybody that reads a book is going to find different things interesting, but what I like to do is, because I want to know whether the story is actually real or not, I go find books that people who actually translated these texts, and I read it, and then I share with the world on my YouTube channel through my series what I've learned from reading these books. And I have about 60 books on my YouTube channel that I do that with, and I have thousands of books. So of course it's going to take a lifetime for me to go through these books. Hopefully I'm alive long enough to at least get through half of them. But what do you do when you find out, when you realize the history is fake? Well, then you share your stuff. You create your channel. You create you create the information, and you go through each and every book that you can possibly have, and you sit there and share what you've learned. And then it's up to the people to go do their own due diligence behind that to verify the information for themselves, right? It's not to me, it's not about who's right and who's wrong. What it is to me is, what is the actual story, and where can I get the story from? Because everybody that I can tell you right now, anybody that goes around and talks about the Epic of Gilgamesh, if they haven't read this version or these translations from Andrew George, Stephanie Dalley, or from George Smith, or even Samuel Noah Kramer for that matter, then you're telling me that you don't know the full story. And I can tell you that when they say when they talk about the Epic of Gilgamesh, they're getting this information from these groups of individuals that I named. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. These are the foundations. Matter of fact, it's funny because when I started reading Zachariah Sitchin's books, his first book, The 12th Planet, which was published in 1976, he always talked about these Anunnaki and Anunna individuals coming from planet Nibiru. Well, when I started to cross-reference his information by taking the sources that he named and looking for the actual translations, I learned that he was creating a narrative, and he made a lot of money from creating that narrative. It's no difference than what Billy Carson is doing right now. And unless you can show me what the cuneiform identifier says, what it says, then I have to go off of what the person that already translated this stuff. Me and Stig right now are online, and we're having a discussion with this. Anybody that say they can translate the text themselves, they should be able to pull up the screen share, screenshots, and all the tablets. You can go to the Cuneiform Digital Library of Initiative online, which everybody has access to except North Koreans, because they don't have the ability to get on the internet. Where you can get on there and read this stuff for yourself. You can even teach yourself how to read cuneiform, which I am in the slow process of doing. And it's really hard. There's not enough time in the day to do all this research yourself, and you have to really depend on people who are passionate and doing their due diligence. And it's not that many people that do that in this world. There's a lot of people that want to get rich fast.
A lot of people that I've experienced in this industry, they just brag about all the different versions they've know, but they don't give us the information. You're giving us the information. Hey, let me ask you one last thing about the Epic of Gilgamesh, and then I wouldn't mind changing the topic a little to one of your other videos. So before we do that, what about what are your final statements about Gilgamesh? Who is this dude? Gilgamesh. That's his name, Gilgamesh. Who the hell names their
Yeah.
kid Gilgamesh? That's it,
Yeah,
Gilgamesh.
that's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, see, you
He's
also
a
got to
tyrant.
remember
He's a king.
that. But see, that's a good question because back then names weren't names like how we pick names today. You know, my name's Tyrone, your name is David, right? It's not, our names was a title, and it had to do with something with our livelihood, just like Cain and Abel. You know, they had their names wasn't because it was Cain because of, you know, they decided to name him Cain. They would name them Cain for a certain specific reason. You know what I'm saying? Names were titles back then. It's hard to say who was Gilgamesh because there are some people out there that what's that guy's name? Nimrod. Some people believe Gilgamesh and Nimrod were one and the same.
Say that again, Nimrod.
Yeah. Some people say, from what I've read, believe that Gilgamesh and Nimrod are the same.
Okay, the Nimrod from Turkey. Okay, yeah, Nimrod, the mountain, right? You talking about?
No, the hunter.
Okay, I don't know. I forgot. I've heard this before. Who's Nimrod again?
He's the Nimrod is the hunter. Well, some people say he came from Africa. Nobody really knows. He's basically the Bible or Hebrew hunter guy. How can I put it in terms?
Wait, hold on. I'm going to put this in. Who is Nimrod the hunter? And let's share that screen right now. And we're getting it right now.
He was like he's like a mighty warrior. He was like a mighty warrior. He was okay.
Okay. No, I did not. I don't remember this story. Genesis 10:8 through 12. And this is leading up to my next question because honestly, I was just looking at your channel, and I was just looking at your last book, and it was the Lost Book of Enki and Genesis. You must have talked about him during this video.
No, I didn't talk about him. I didn't talk about Nimrod in there. Yeah, that's from
okay.
That's from those two books were from Zachariah Sitchin.
Okay, so these are two Zachariah Sitchin books. One is called the Lost Book of Enki, but now don't confuse that with the Book of Enki, which is a different book altogether, right?
Well, there's no actually book of Enki. There's just cuneiform tablets that mention. Yeah, there's matter of fact, the Lost Book of Enki itself is actually, when you open up the book and as soon as you open up inside the cover, it's labeled as fiction and mythology.
Okay, slow down for a second now. We're talking about the grandfather of Noah had a book that was taken out of the Bible, and it included him going on a spaceship and being told about the flood. No?
You're talking about Enoch.
Oh, Enoch. Oh, I got it confused. I got it confused. Enoch. All right, so who's Enki?
Enki is one of the Anuna/Anunnaki pantheon gods.
Okay, this is probably one. Okay, I can see. I've been following the wrong road for a long time. I've got Enki and Enoch confused this whole freaking time. I'm talking about 5 years. It took until you to straighten out for me, to be honest. I mean, I'm still trying to get it a little bit. So Enki is, he is one of the Anunnaki, right? He is the god. But the Anunnaki helped Enoch. Enoch was helped by No. So
Enoch is more of a apocryphy type text. It's basically forbidden text. He is mentioned in the Bible, but there are three different versions.
Apocryphy. Why is it forbidden? Apocryphy.
Apocryphal books is because it's just keep it simple. The Bible, the Bible itself, the Protestant Bible, is made up of 66 books. The Catholic book has its different amount of books and so on and so forth. So people pick out different things to put in there.
You're teaching me these numbers right now. I kind of knew part of that, but I never heard those numbers before.
Yeah, they all have different amount of their own books. Like I said, the Protestant is made up of 66 books, right? And when you pick
I'm sorry,
up,
what's the Protestant? I know Old
Pro-
Testament, New Testament. What's Protestant?
that's just what they call it. It's just it's so hard to say this. So it's basically just the Old Testament and the New Testament. It's a book that's specifically just for a time frame with like the King James version. So the King James version is the Protestant book, which is made up of 66 books. So when you read the King James version, you're going to read 66 different books. But if you was Catholic and you picked up the Catholic books, they have 73 books. So they have more books than the Protestants or Christianity or or whatnot. And then if you read the Hebrew text, those are only 5 books.
The Torah. No,
by Moses. The 5 books by the
Torah. That's the Torah, right?
Well, it's called the Tanakh / Torah, or you could call it the law, because that's what it actually means. Torah means the law. So you have the Ethiopian Bible has 88 books, which has more books than.
Hey, by the way, Anna gave me a $20 not super chat, but super thanks or whatever it was called. Thank you so much, Anna. Definitely very grateful to you for that. Thank you, Anna. And yeah, she's on top of it. And what was he saying over here? Space is fake. He's talking about oh, never mind. That's kind of a little different. Talking about clay tablets. Are you aware the first thing that went missing in the Iraq War was the tablets?
When I was in Iraq, we were at sometimes on missions where we had to, and I actually got to participate in 1 or 2 of them. They were transporting artifacts and stuff like that from the museums, because when the Iraq War was going off, they were raiding the museums, and we were in charge. We weren't specifically in charge. We just participated in helping in, trying to provide transportation and security for some of those museums. And it's funny that that's brought up because the Hobby Lobby CEO, if I'm not mistaken, I know it's Hobby Lobby, but I don't know if it was actually the CEO, but I'm pretty confident it was him. He actually had an Epic of Gilgamesh tablet in his private collection.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think he was told to give it up or something like that.
Now I'm seeing here it says the Mighty Hunter right away. I think Orion was the Gilgamesh, also Orion.
That's a good question. I just know that some texts, some individuals would say, because the reason why they say Gilgamesh and Nimrod was possibly the same is because Gilgamesh went to go hunt the bull. You remember he went. Well,
okay, I'm sorry. I should make that clear. That wasn't Gilgamesh. That was Nimrod. I'm looking at the Nimrod stuff. So
that's what I'm saying. That some people, the reason why some people say that Nimrod and Gilgamesh was the same, because Gilgamesh was also a hunter of some sort. He went to go hunt for, that plant, which signifies, when you think of it allegorically, the idea of living forever is sustaining yourself through eating food, right? Plants, hunting and gathering, right? And then he also went to go kill the bull. There you
go. That's got it. Wait a minute, slow down, back it up. Who's killing the bull? Nimrod?
Gilgamesh and Enkidu. There's a story of them killing one of the bulls that was sent from heaven. Or from heaven.
So this is Taurus, and I've heard this story told to me back in the 80s while looking up at the stars with a ranger in Death Valley, and he said that same thing about the bull and Orion fighting the bull, and the 7 sisters are part of the bull constellation. It's kind of funny because Pleiades is its own constellation, right? but then it's also inside the Taurus as a constellation. And so apparently there was a conflict, and I searched for that my whole life, and I didn't see a lot of information on that. And so the fact that you brought it up just now, that like encircles like 50 years, not 40, because I'm talking about like, well, maybe 45 years when I first heard that story in Death Valley, and looking at the stars, and you could see all the stars back then, not like you can now.
You know what? I'm gonna look that up. I'm because there's actually some text online. I want to look that up. You should look that up too. Was Gilgamesh related to Orion? Because that's an interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. So it is. Gilgamesh is strongly associated with Orion.
Okay, I didn't know that, and
if I ever read that before, I never knew it either, but now I know it now.
Well, and Orion is, I mean, the most prominent constellation in the sky, in my opinion. Everybody notices it. It's got a certain geometry to it. You've got the 3 stars in the belt, but in addition to that, you've got Betelgeuse goes through the middle star of the belt to another star, which I forgot the name, and creates 3 other stars in a row. And then you've got Bellatrix that goes through the center star to the one that's down at the bottom, which I can't remember the names down at the bottom, and I can't remember the belt names. They're so hard to remember. And the fact is that it's so prominent. And then you've got the 7 Sisters, which is this fuzzball in the sky. Right now, we can go look at it. That's in Taurus. That's the first thing that pops up way before Orion. Way before Orion. Yeah.
So there's a source called the Handbook of Babylonian Astronomy by Pete Jensen that actually goes into great detail about Gilgamesh and his relationship with Orion.
Pete who?
Pete Jensen. I'm going to bring it up because here's a book on it. Hold on, let me see.
Should we share your desktop if you want?
Yeah, I'm about to bring up the PDF in a second.
Well, we have to remove.
Oh, you don't even have to go on there. You don't even have to. It's on Academia actually. It was written in January. Wait, let me see.
And by the way, you wrote Anya.
Wow, it's from 1881.
Can we share it? Share it. Go ahead. Don't be shy.
No, I'm not. I'm bringing it up right now. Hold on. Let's see. So right here, Babylonian astronomy.
You got the control, bro.
And then, of course, the C. This is where it's at right here. So this is the. Okay, no, that's not it. Let's see. Oh, you can't really read this here because it's blurry online.
Is it even showing the full PDF? Those are all the images from the PDF, but you got to go to download the PDF.
Oh, I got to log into my shit. Hold on.
Yeah, they just teasing you, bro. I've been doing that enough. They're teasing you. They playing with you.
Let me try. Yeah, let me close this out and find another one. I'm probably gonna have to go through a different website. Oh yeah, here we go. Oh shit, yeah. See, this is in German though.
Shermana Toros Born says nobody he named has the entire story.
Yeah, nobody. Yeah, that's absolutely right. That's 100% right.
I don't even know what that means. Who are you talking about? Thank you, Space is Fake. What do you mean?
Let me see.
What do you mean nobody he named has the entire... we're talking Gilgamesh?
Yeah. Well, nobody has the one story about Gilgamesh.
Oh, yeah. Hey, moving back onto that Book of Enki, that's not Enoch. So what was that? Let's move on to that. You
Well,
did
the
a whole
Lost Book of
video on
Enki.
Book of Enki by Sitchin. What was? Let's start with that, and then the other was Genesis. Let's do that one later. Go with the Enki book that Sitchin wrote. What is your play on that?
So the Lost Book of Enki is a book by Sitchin, and he tries to say, if I'm not mistaken, the word is autobiography of Enki, and it's nothing. There's first of all, there's no cuneiform tablets that's specifically in relationship to explaining who Enki is. There's just cuneiform tablets that have Enki in them. But what Sitchin did was he took everything that he knew about Enki, or what he thought he knew about Enki, and he put it into a book format to say this is Enki's life story. So all he did was create a new narrative. I can tell
Sorry,
you
are we
right
talking
now.
about clay tablets? Who wrote about Enki? Who is this dude? This is the guy from the Anunnaki, or he's the related to those guys, right? Not from the planet Nine, not from Narubu, but more probably from the ocean, probably from the waters. Can you kind of get who wrote this story? Was it cuneiform tablets?
No, it wasn't just a who. It's how many people wrote different stories. So Enkidu. So his name is EA or Enki. I said Enkidu. It's EA or Enki. Okay. There's also different names for him. Matter of fact, here
That's Gilgamesh's friend, right? You're saying
no.
Gilgamesh's friend.
No. Those are different people. I'm about to bring up this website for you. Hold on, let me see.
All right, we got to share the screen.
I have a perfect website for this. That's actually a reputable, respectable website. I just have to find the bookmarks. Hold on, let me see.
Sherman Toros Born says academic malfeasance. He was like, nobody has named this entire story. That's what he said earlier. I like what Anna said. I like what Anna said. Go on.
Hold on. I'm about to bring it up right now. Hold on. Share screen. Gods and goddesses. Okay, so this is a website right here. I got to make it bigger. Bring that up.
Coming soon. There it is.
Okay, so this is a website that's called org.museum.upenn .edu. This is an actual respectable website. It's from hold on, let me see if I can find it. So this is the website right here, Ancient Mesopotamian Gods and Goddesses, right? If you click on about the project, it says the literary heritage of ancient Mesopotamia, the area roughly corresponding to the modern state of Iraq, is the oldest literature known to mankind. Many of the stories known from the Old Testament are rooted in older Mesopotamian myths, the most famous example being the flood story. In studying Sumerian literature and religion, we can gain an insight into how ancient peoples imagined the world and coped with themes that are still relevant today, mortality and immortality. Remember, you mentioned that earlier. Good and bad luck, order and chaos, and the unpredictability of the future. And this is just a great source. Anybody can read it. It gives you, there's a team of individuals. The project was funded by a teaching development grant from the UK Higher Education Academy Subject Center for History, Classics, and Archaeology in 2009 and 2010. And it gives you all the individuals from the project team here, the consultants, and so on and so forth. So this is actually a respectable site. You can even contact these individuals yourself by, email address that tells you where to contact them at. And then it even tells you right here that if you want to use their work for anything, you must attribute your work to their project, if relevant, of course. And
attribution, right, bro. Yeah, attribution, very important.
Yeah. So going back to the list of deities. So we're going to go to Enki, right? So you see where it says EA, and then it says C Enki, because most people know him as Enki, right? You click on his name, and it tells you exactly who this individual was. He was a mischievous god. So a lot of people need to know what mischievous means. So, of course, you go ahead and you can quickly look up what mischievous is, and it's causing or showing fondness for or causing trouble in a playful way.
Yeah, Dennis the Menace, man. Dennis the Menace.
Exactly.
I remember that guy.
Yeah, so a lot of people would tell you that Enki wanted to save humanity, but this was a mischievous god, right? He was of wisdom, magic, and incantations who resides in the ocean under the earth, right? Now, I've always talked about this. If you go to the Oxford Handbook of Sumerian cuneiform culture, the book that I've always posted about before, and I'll bring that up on the screen share in a second. In that book, it says that Enki himself came from the depths of the sea. And he came from the depths of the sea ever so often to give humanity knowledge on different things, from technology to agriculture, right? And you can see literally right here that the god Ea, whose Sumerian equivalent was Enki, is one of the three most powerful gods in the Mesopotamian pantheon, along with Anu and Enlil. Anu was supposed to be his father, and Enlil was his brother, supposedly. He resides in the ocean underneath the earth called the Abzu. Everybody that knows about the Abzu knows that that has to do with water. That's why when Billy Carson says that he knows how to translate the text, and he says that the Sumerians or the Anunnaki came from a planet called Nibiru that orbit our sun, that's not where Enki came from. He rose from the depths of the sea. This is literally in their text. So if he says that, he needs to give me the cuneiform tablet identifier that backs up what he says. Until then, he's wrong as dirt. You know what I'm saying? He's just wrong. He resides in the ocean underneath the earth called the Abzu, which was an important place in Mesopotamian cosmic geography. For example, the city of Babylon was said to have been built on top of the Abzu. That up top of the Abzu means the soil on top of the water, basically, because we all know that there's this thing called the water table. You can dig so far deep into the ground, no matter where you're at, and you can tap into what we know as what? The water table, right? There's a natural flowing of water underneath the dirt. And then you can see right here, Sumerian texts about Enki often include overly sexual portrayals of his virile masculinity. In particular, there's a metaphoric link between the life-giving properties of the god's semen and the animating nature of fresh water from the Abzu. That's where we get salt water from, right? That just literally describes what salt water is, right? Until recently, however, many of the more explicit details have been suppressed in modern translations. The important word right there is suppressed, right? And it gives you the cylinder seal of Enki, right? You can see that he has a horns on this side. So, of course, I can't bring it up on here. I can on the next screen, but if I bring it up on another screen, I have to close this one out and go to another one. But this is him right here. Let me see if I can make this bigger. So right here, this is how he looks. You see the fish head right here? He's dressed in the suit of a fish suit. The depiction of him is meaning that he came from the waters, that he was a fish god. He was literally a fish god. No difference than Oannes, Oannes, and who else in the world? Give you a quick guess. Jesus. Jesus, what would Jesus do? You remember the little symbol for him? For Jesus, for people that was being prosecuted because they were Christians, that little what would Jesus do? I can't remember the name, what it's called. Somebody can think of it.
Not the fish. Are you talking about the fish?
Yeah, exactly. So
that fish was actually based on the Pisces age, I think.
Yeah,
let me just look
exactly.
that up. The name of that is in Greek.
It starts with an I.
I swear to God, I used to say when I was growing up in high school, I would see the bumper sticker on all the cars, and I would say IX Coyote. I would say IX Coyote, but that's not the name.
Yeah.
What is
I don't know how to say it
fish,
either. I always butcher it.
Greek. Okay, they're not going to give me the name. Hold on. The fish Greek Jesus name. What is it?
It's spelled like IT.
Ixtus.
Yeah, I don't know I don't know how to pronounce it. But
I
yeah,
can't shut her up.
Oh, you got ChatGPT going?
I did. It's over. Keep it simple is the new trust me, bro. Sherman Toro's born says. Shermanator. It's Shermanator. Shermanator Osborne. Welcome, Shermanator. Definitely been seeing you everywhere. Facebook, on the Twitter. And Shermanator, it's kind of an honor to be here. And now we got 27 people watching.
One thing that I want to point out is, hold on real quick. Hey, one thing that I want to point out that I'm recently started to study a lot more about is goatfish. That's what Enki was depicted as or known as, was a goatfish. That's what I've been
The
looking
one
into
with
a
the
lot
fish
more.
on his back, where his whole body's depicted as a fish. That's a
Now,
goatfish.
look up what a goatfish is. You'll see. It's pretty interesting. Like the thing is that okay, so a lot of people don't understand the fact that that they want to believe that the Anuna/Anunnaki came from planet Nibiru, but obviously, when you go to the actual sources that are available to anybody on this planet, he is literally Lord of the Abzu. Everybody knows that. Even the people who believe the Anuna/Anunnaki came from planet Nibiru, they know about Abzu. That's something you cannot deny. The problem is that there's no cuneiform tablet that says they came from a planet named Nibiru. Matter of fact, the Sumerians, like I said before, they only knew of 5 planets, and those 5 planets was what we can see with the naked eye. After that, you need to start having powerful telescopes and cameras for that shit. But it just amazes me that we have actual texts where, and this is why it's important to me. This is why I always talk about the Sumerians and the Anuna, the Anunnaki, and I always make sure that I talk about extraterrestrials and aliens and stuff like that. Because when you read the Bible, the Elohim, or God, however you want to call it, created the heavens and the earth. That means God is not from this planet. That means he resides somewhere outside this Earth's atmosphere, which technically, by definition, if you pick up a dictionary and you look up the word extraterrestrial, it means anything outside of Earth's atmosphere. So Mars is an extraterrestrial. Jupiter is in the extraterrestrial. The moon is an extraterrestrial. Why? Because it's outside of Earth's atmosphere. Okay. There is no text that says the Anunnaki came from a different planet, but the Bible does say God created the heavens and earth. Well, what could be God? What is one of the? Let me just ask you from what you from what you know, what is the smallest thing for creation in the universe or in this planet?
Well, you're talking about the word atom.
Yeah, see, exactly. So you already know. So it's not necessarily the smallest. It's made up of what? Protons, neutrons, and electrons, right? But those things is what creates the atom. The atom is basically what makes everything, right? But so we know that in reality, a lot of people will say that the atoms are what creates everything on this planet. Everything is made out of the atom, right? Or it's kind of hard to say that it's one source, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that we know that humans, the plants, the animals, we know the dust, the rocks, the stars, we know all this stuff comes from atoms, right? But there are 3 things that make up atoms, right? And we know that is the basic understanding of protons, neutrons, and electrons, right? So would God be an atom? But God, that means that there would be 3 things that make God. Well, what is a very, very, very popular number in all of around the world? The number 3, right? Nikola Tesla, matter of fact, talked about the number 3 a lot. Matter of fact, there was a time, and I'm not 100% sure if this is accurate or not, but I've read so many different books about Nikola Tesla, and they said before Nikola Tesla ever walked into a building, he would spin around the building spin around in a circle 3 times,
Right,
before he entered. I believe it was either 3 times one way and then 3 times the other way, like clockwise and counterclockwise. So number 3 is very important. Not only that, if you look at the Last Supper, that's that the depiction of the Last Supper, in the background you see 3 windows. There are 3 is a very, very popular number for different cultures, religions.
I just did
Even
a
the
deep
Masonic.
dive. I just did a deep dive on the Last Supper, and I didn't even look at the Windows issue. I was just trying to remember all the people.
Look at it. Look at it. There's 3 windows back there. And
We're talking about the
just,
one by Leonardo da Vinci.
yeah, the 3 wise men. You got the 3 wise men. You got the Father, Son, and what else? The Holy Spirit. What did Jesus rise on? The 3rd day. Then, if you want to go further back, like I said in the last post, in many cases, the Sumerians, or I'm not going to say I should just say Mesopotamians. The Mesopotamians, the individuals from Mesopotamia, Enki, Enlil, and An. Those are the 3 main gods in there. Then you have, we can go with the Egyptians. We can go with the Native Americans. The number 3 was popular all around the world. And these 3 individuals, 3 things created one powerful group of individuals, one powerful thing, what could be considered what we know as the Elohim, right? Because
Well,
the Elohim
giants,
could be one
right?
god, or it could be many gods, huh?
Giants.
Or giants. Yeah, I mean, think about this is no different from any of the as above below type thing. You have as above, then you have in the middle, and then you have below it. I know you've heard that saying before, right? As above, I know you've heard it.
Of course.
So the number 3 is very popular in so many different things. What is very popular? Remember the movie Aladdin? What do you get from the genie? 3 wishes. You can have anything you want in this world as long as you stick with your 3 wishes. And you know what you cannot do? What's the one wish that you cannot do? Wish for more wishes.
I don't remember that part. I thought you could.
Well, not from Aladdin, but just in general, you're not allowed to have more than 3. You can't wish for 3 more wishes. You can't have an infinity amount of wishes. You're only allowed 3 wishes. After those 3 wishes, that's it.
And we all know that the first wish is a test wish. You're just like, I can't believe this is true. Let's go with this. And you choose wish number 1, but right away you realize that was the worst wish.
Yeah, you really don't. You don't really, you really don't know what you can do. But see, I also want to bring up this. This is a very important part about Enki and Enlil. Everybody talks about exorcism, right? Getting the demons out or the evil out of a person. Enki, if anybody that knows about Enki, he was the ultimate source of all ritual knowledge used by exorcists to avert and expel evil. He was known. This is where we get exorcism from. It's from Enki. But that's only, but mostly Catholicism is only I'm not gonna say they're the ones that do it the most. They are the go-to individuals, for exorcism.
They have the most books, right? Hey, by the way, you know what I just realized? Anna mentioned, and again, thanks so much for that super thanks you gave me, Anna Zavarnzina. Ethiopian Bible has 88 books. You know what else is that number 88? We have 88 constellations right now. And a lot of them weren't created until the 1700s. The ones from Sumer, Mesopotamia, there was more like 20 or maybe 30 if you include stuff like Orion. And she mentioned 88. That's our modern day number. The 88 constellations.
But what is religion based off of, though? All religions are based off of some type of constellation. Every single one of them has a relationship with a constellation. That's just facts. And guess
Yeah.
what? The Ethiopian Bible follows all of the ones that we know of it today. That's why I say it's important that we look at the text from around the world and being stuck on just, one text like the Bible. Like I've heard people say, all you need to do is read the Bible and you'll know everything. No, you won't. If you read the Bible and don't ask yourself questions and look for those answers, then I don't know what to tell you. Because the Bible, this is what I like to call the Bible. I like to call the Bible the Wikipedia of today. Okay. It's accurate in the sense of historical information. You just have to go to the source itself and see what's accurate and what's not. Give or take, perfect example. When you go to Wikipedia, they will have a section underneath where you can click on actual sources to read up on more information. And that's how you'll be able to tell if they made up something or if they didn't. It's just what it is. So, this stuff to me is it's always amazing to learn and talk about this, because I can talk about this stuff for hours. And the reason why is because
what about the Genesis book? I'm looking at your YouTube channel, and you've got the Genesis book also by Sitchin. What's that all about?
Well, so Genesis Revisited, before I bought that book, when I've read the title, they always say don't judge a book by its title, right? Or its cover. Don't judge a book by its cover. In the cover, of course, it says Genesis Revisited. What's interesting about this book is I did judge the book by its cover because I thought it was a book that was going to give me in-depth information about Genesis, meaning that it was going to tell me exactly what Genesis was supposed to basically get across and share as facts, right? And it wasn't nothing but just rehashed shit that Zachariah Sitchin said in his other books, meaning that he was trying to tell people, if you read the Earth Chronicles, then you didn't need to read Genesis Revisited, because it was just basically him rewording.
It's revisited. It sounds like the word revisited. Revisited. So get back over to that other book, which I've never read, the Earth Chronicles. What's that?
The Earth Chronicles is a 7-part series book. The Earth Chronicles is a 7-part series book from Zachariah Sitchin, and the first one was the 12th planet, because he was trying to show that Nibiru was the 12th planet in our solar system that orbits the sun. But the funny thing is, what he likes to say is the moon and the sun are considered planets. Now, we know in 2025 the sun is not a planet, and we know the moon is not a planet. The moon is the moon, and the sun is a star. So he's missed. And then now we also know, what is it? Pluto is the planet that's no longer considered is considered now a dwarf planet, I guess. They took it off as being a main planet, I guess. So, I mean, it was just so funny that those are the same. The people that say that there's a 12th planet out there called Nibiru. It's funny to me because there is no the sun is not a planet and the moon is not a planet. You know what I'm saying? So he created a narrative, and people didn't never ask these questions. Nobody ever stopped and said, hey, look, you know what? Let me tell you, the sun is not considered a planet. Matter of fact, if I had the opportunity, which I don't, and probably would never have an opportunity, is ask Billy Carson, why do you say there's 12 planets when it's obvious that the sun and the moon is not a planet? Does he consider the moon and the sun a planet? Like,
Pluto, if it's a dwarf planet now, there's 2 others that are part of that group.
That's 9, what I'm saying.
10, 11, 12. I mean, yeah, and also the whole, Nibiru is always Planet 9, like the movie, Planet 9 from Outer Space. Don't you remember? Oh, no, I'm sorry, that was Plan 9. Never mind. I take it back. But see,
this is. I'm glad you brought that up about dwarf planets, because my point is that I could be wrong, we know of 5 dwarf planets. So if the Anunnaki is 450,000 years ahead of us, according to what Zechariah Sitchin says, then they would know that Pluto is not a planet. They would consider it a dwarf planet. But we also have 4 other planets, dwarf planets in our solar system. Right? So
3 that I know of. I don't know about a 4th one. 3. Pluto and 2 others.
There's it's here, let me type it in. Let me type it in real quick. All right, so you got Pluto, Eris, Haumea, Makemake, and Ceres. So those are 5. But this is the thing, they're not sure if there's more other ones. This is what is likely, but not yet officially recognized, is Sedna, Orcus, Quora, Gong, Kong. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different. So maybe the idea is that there may be 50 to 150 different dwarf planets. That's what I got from ChatGPT. I just typed in dwarf planets in our solar system from ChatGPT, and that's what it says. So let me see for a source. Give me a source. Give me a source. That's what I like to ask ChatGPT, to give me a source, so that way I can go ahead and verify this. So according to here we go right here. I'm gonna bring it up because I like to screen share. Because if we're going to go off of sources instead of opinions and bring this up in feelings.
Are you showing it? Hold on, let me bring it up. I'm bringing it up.
The International Astronomical Union here, and it talks about where where is it at? Let's type in dwarf planets. Let's see if we can find any information on dwarf planets. Oh, this website is actually pretty good because I use this website for a lot of different things. I don't know. I'll
Really?
have to go
What is it again? I thought it was just on which website? And by the way, we've got Shermanator says I'm behind by 15 minutes. So Shermanator was commenting on something 15 minutes older, I guess. Now we're on dwarf planets. You did a lot of Zechariah Sitchin books recently.
Yep,
You've got the Anunnaki Chronicles. You've got the Stairway to Heaven.
Bring this back up.
How many books does he do? What happened?
You gotta bring this up. I think he has a total of 13 books, if I'm not mistaken. I know he has 14 books. He has 14 books. He has the Earth Chronicles, which is 7 books. Then he has Genesis Revisited, Divine Encounters, The Lost Book of Enki, the Earth Chronicles, Expeditions, Journey to the Mythical Past, and There Were Giants Upon Earth. And then the final book. This dude's
still alive, right? This dude is still alive.
He's gone.
He died. What year did he die?
Yeah, I think in 2012. I forgot. If I'm not mistaken.
So I'm getting him confused with another dude who is still alive. And who's that, do you think? Not Sitchin.
No, he passed away 2010. I'm sorry. He passed away 10. You're probably thinking about Eric von Däniken.
That's right. That's correct. And now he's
not. He wrote
he's
the
still
Chariots
alive.
of the Gods. Yeah, he's still alive.
Chariots of the Gods. What year was that?
Oh, shit, in the 60s, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see.
And he's still alive? No way. No, it must have been the 70s.
No, that dude. No, he's. Yeah, 1968.
What year was Chariots of the Gods written?
Yeah, it came out in 1968. It was published in 1968, and the English translation came in 1969.
Okay, so that means that. Okay, look, I was born the same time. So 57. I'm right now 57 years old. So Eric von Däniken.
You was born in 68?
1967, technically.
Yo, Eric von Däniken looked like he's 90 years old, bro.
He is 90. That's what it says. It says 90 years old, born in 1935.
Yeah.
So, okay. So he's still around. He's not going to be around long. And his greatest contribution, what do you think?
Chariots of the
Was
Gods. I
so
know this story, but you say it's a mistranslation,
no.
right?
So no. Chariots of the Gods is a good book. So basically, what and I like Eric von Däniken. He I'm not sure. I'm not so sure of now. I liked him when he first started off, or at least when I first learned about him. But I don't like him too much now. As far as well, I'm not gonna say I don't like him. I think he went too far onto extraterrestrials, like a lot of. Okay, so let me just say this: the Chariots of the Gods was a book that he had a lot of questions about. So what he was is he read a lot of religious texts, mythology texts from around the world, right? And he had questions in his book. So he never said that the Anunnaki were real or that they were people who came from somewhere or something like that. What he was saying is he was asking questions. And what he was asking was, is it possible these individuals were these extraterrestrials? Was it possible that these individuals came from somewhere else and stuff like that? So his book is nothing but questions. And he asks questions, and you can, if you read his books, it's based off of what he understood at that time frame. Now, in today's age, he believes that these individuals were individuals that came from different planets and so on and so forth because of people like Giorgio Tsoukalos and also Billy Carson, because they say that they're experts in these fields. And they're the ones that's going around saying, well, you know what, Eric von Däniken? Yeah, those gods did come from a planet Nibiru. Yes, these gods did this and did that. No, they didn't, because there's no text. If I Eric von Däniken used information from different people like Samuel Noah Kramer and so on and so forth, like older individuals that, and he got this information. Just to keep it understandably, it's simple. I know. I think it was Sherman that said that's trust me, bro. Just to keep it simple, the whole reason why we know about the Sumerian civilization in the first place is because people who read the Holy Bible, they really wanted to share or find the actual cities, and they wanted to find proof that this stuff was real in the Bible. And what they did, not knowingly, is they found these cuneiform tablets from Sumer and the Akkadians and so on and so forth. So we know about the Anuna/Anunnaki because of people's curiosity in finding the truth in the Bible. These archaeologists wanted to find the truth in the Bible, and that's how they came across much older civilizations than and much older stories from different places.
What other stories do we have? We got the Bible, we've got Sumeria and all these tablets, and that's it. That's history.
And then we got the stuff from Göbekli Tepe. We got the Ubadians, what we talked about.
Is that written, or is that, I mean, what's that all about? I mean, we're talking about stones. We're talking about megalithic terraforming. We're not talking about history. We're talking. Well, what's on those? What do those symbols mean on those forms, on those stones?
See, that's a good question, and in some ways, I can possibly help with that. In some ways, but because of who I am, there's not going to be too many people who will take in consideration the facts. Every pictographic script has its own meaning and translation, right? When you see, let's say that when you see if me and you went to a museum right now and we went to go look at some art, right? We can use the Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper that you was talking about, right? I told you that if you look in the back in the back, you'll see 3 windows. Well, I would interpret that much differently than what you would look at, because you would probably, and there would be other people who will interpret it different. When you look at the basic foundation, you will see that there are, individuals sitting at a table about to have dinner of some sort, right? But then when you break it down symbolically, because of the different symbolism in there, you can see that this is going to be Jesus's rebirth, right? Because he would die and then he would come up, because number 3 was a type of a rebirth also, right? And
Well, the thing that I watched a couple of videos on that painting when I was trying to learn it, and I forgot all the people in that painting. I forgot them all, but I learned them, and I for a short time knew them all, but then I totally forgot them. However, I do believe that it's a painting about the reaction on all those apostles when Jesus said, "Someone is about to betray me."
Yeah,
and then that's when you
Judas.
got the snapshot. Yeah, but Judas did betray him. He's got the gold. He's got the silver in his hand. But I'm talking about the whole painting is not just Judas, and yeah, he's reaching for the same bowl that Christ is reaching for, and that Leonardo only knows what that means, because I can tell you right now, there's no way to explain what that significance is. But then all the other expressions in that painting are from them hearing Jesus say, "One of you is going to betray me."
Yeah,
and good. And there's other versions of that painting out there, not by Leonardo da Vinci. And one of Leonardo da Vinci's like students or whatever copied the exact painting. So we have a copy of that painting, even though the first version is so messed up because of the mistake that Leonardo made, trusting the style that he used in that specific painting. He made a big mistake. But luckily, one of his students copied the whole thing. So we've got a version of it. It doesn't matter. We see what he was trying to say there.
Don't forget Matthew 26:23. Who has dipped his hand in the bowl will betray me.
There you go. And they're dipping their hands in the bowl. I don't know that. And thank you for mentioning it, because honestly, I haven't read the Bible enough, and I can't believe you even remembered that. Yeah, and Judas is the only one in that painting that looks well, actually, I have to be honest, there's a lot of versions of that. Some of them are changed for some reason. And then there's the other versions of that story that have been painted, the Last Supper, that were painted before Leonardo did it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of them you have to study to know the whole story. Like, there are females in that. And when you see, was it John? Is it John, the one who has the story? He looks just like Mary of Magdalene, or the Virgin Mary, to be honest.
Yeah, he looks more feminine.
Nobody mentions it. I mean, except when you watch the movie called what is it? The very famous movie.
Passion of the Christ.
No. Sorry. Why can't I remember his name? He's like the guy that caught COVID first. He did the Da Vinci Code movie.
Oh,
and that story was
Brown.
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks. No, you talking about Tom Hanks? Oh, I thought you were talking about the author.
Yeah, right. And Dan Brown wrote it. And no, I'm talking about Tom Hanks's character. Now I forgot what it's saying. But anyways, the point I'm trying to make is that this whole they were talking about the chalice, and that's kind of interesting as well. The chalice that's between Christ and this, which I'm saying is Mary of Magdalene, a female. And in the other versions of the Last Supper, you see females there. So you know that there were females during that Last Supper, according to, the belief. But then you got the V shape. That was from Dan Brown's the Da Vinci Code. And that was supposed to be sorry, I'm forgetting everything. The cup. He chose poorly. He chose wisely. What's the cup? And the reason why I'm trying to get to that is because Randall Carlson brought up this chalice. What is the cup? It's called. It's Monty Python.
What?
No?
You talking about the cup? You talking about the cup from Jesus?
The
himself?
Holy Grail. The Holy Grail. Sorry.
To my screen.
The Holy Grail. That's what I was looking for. The Holy Grail is depicted in the Da Vinci Code as the mystery between Mary and Christ. And then Randall Carlson in Sedona, when I met him the first time, he brought up the same Holy Grail, but it wasn't a cup at all. It was a story being protected. It was the Knights of the Templar were protecting this story through myth, and it's really a story about, I guess, a cataclysm. I'm not even sure anymore. It's been a long time. So I'm talking now, I'm sounding crazy. And the reason why was I couldn't remember all that, but and Randall brought it up, ancient geography. Sacred geometry. Am I messed up? I guess I'm drunk. Is it time to quit? Is it time to quit? I messed up. Already, there's so many things there. And the whole thing is that, and it's going to go on to Tartarianism and mud flood, because when you look at this ancient temple, these churches, which are temples in a way, they're cathedrals. The sacred geometry that was used to build those is reflected. They still exist, and it's like impossible. Who built that stuff? Now I'm going beyond the typical alternative history ideas, and I'm moving into more of a, like, maybe it's even goes further back, where they're using these buildings to teach us something, but then they were taken over by other people. Like, for example, now I'm starting to sound crazy, but you know, the capital of California and all these other Capitol buildings, they look impossible to build in this modern day era. The 1800s, we built these buildings. That's what I'm talking about. 33 viewers. What else is there to say? 33 viewers. Bernie said he was going to try to come in like 40 minutes ago. He said 30 minutes. So I don't know if Bernie's going to make it or not. But honestly, this has all been about you, Tyrone, these books. And yeah, they're important. I mean, the Gilgamesh story, I'm still kind of getting it. And ChatGPT helps. The Sitchin stuff that you are, like 4 books we've talked about, I think that they are also important in a way. But honestly, I think you've done a lot of work, and you can see through the problems that Sitchin has caused, right? Or are we talking about Van Daniken? Because the way he described the whole, isn't it Enki or is it Enoch in his book, Van Daniken? Van Daniken wrote about...
He
Go on.
Throughout his lifetime, he talked about different individuals, and he used sources, and his book isn't about giving out facts, like saying this is that and this is that. What he's doing is just asking questions, and he's actually who motivated me, because I actually read his book after I read Sitchin's book, of course, because Sitchin was so popular when he first wrote his book. And he wrote his book in 76, and I'm an 80s baby, so of course I read it after that time frame. But
80s.
Yeah.
Damn.
So
How old are you?
For me, 42. So yeah,
all right.
I like Eric Von Daniken for asking questions. I think now he's just the big people like Giorgio Tsoukalos and Billy Carson. They got him. I want to say they almost manipulated him into believing that these extraterrestrials came from a different planet. I don't follow him too much anymore, so I don't know what his current views are on stuff. But I can say that Billy Carson and Giorgio Tsoukalos pay a lot of respect to him, but they also give him a lot of disrespect at the same time. And I don't think he sees that, because they don't give him the true knowledge of what is what. There are sources that came out after Eric Von Daniken wrote his book that updated a lot of stuff that we know of today. For example, the electronic text of Sumerian literature and that org website that I gave you, and also the book from the ancient literature of Sumer, and also the handbook of cuneiform culture. There's a lot of texts out there that came out after after Eric Von Daniken wrote his book. And instead of Billy Carson and Giorgio Tsoukalos being respectful to that man, because they always talk about how they like him, but there's always people that would backstab you, and there's always people who would do you wrong. And I think they're doing him wrong because they're not giving him the true facts. They're not saying, because we know about the Abzu. We know that Enki came from the depths of the sea. That's throughout all ancient Mesopotamian texts. He's literally known as a fish god. Right, their depictions depict him as a fish god, meaning he came from and rose from the waters. But they, for some reason, they're saying that they came out of, outside of Earth's atmosphere. Now, I'm a firm believer that there are extraterrestrials. I'm a firm believer in aliens. I believe that there's life outside of Earth, and I'm also a firm believer that the two stories can be true at once, meaning that yes, the Anunnaki came from the depths of the seas, but there could have been a different group of individuals, extraterrestrials or aliens or whatever you want to call them, came from outside of Earth's atmosphere and once resided or still reside on our planet. And it's not a matter of a war between the extraterrestrials in themselves. It's a war between the terrestrials here on planet Earth and extraterrestrials, meaning that the people that, or individuals or whatever that came outside of Earth's atmosphere and landed on our planet are no different than the individuals, or those are the individuals that are at war with the individuals who are indigenous to this land. Great example of that is if you look at the Native Americans and the Europeans. When the Europeans came over and invaded the Native American land, they pushed all the Native Americans west. And when they could no longer push them away, they started to what? Kill them off. So that's a good example of how indigenous people of all of us that's here on this planet are slowly getting pushed off our own planet by somebody or in some individuals that came from a different planet. But that's just a theory and a guess, right? Because if you think about it, let's just think about it for a second. The humans have been living on this planet for millions of years. What's to say they haven't been here for billions of years, right? I mean, can we really say that we came from, some kind of evolution?
Well, that's the big question right there. Yeah,
exactly. So
the number 1 billion is far from 1 million. That's for sure.
Exactly.
I mean,
this planet
we're getting to the point where we can say human. Sorry, I interrupted you. Let me just finish saying we've gotten to the point where humanity. Is it the Philippines said 1 million, or is it Morocco 1 million for humans? It's like, is that all we got? Is it a million years? Doesn't seem right.
No, see, this is the thing. The Australopithecus afarensis and Australopithecus rhamidus, those are what some people consider the beginning stages of humanity because of bipedalism. But
how far? Really have wait, I don't know those. I don't know those terms off the back of my. How far back does that go? Those two.
3 to 4 million, 5 million, 6 million, depending on what you want to consider accurate dates. But then you got the giant Capithecus, I think that's how you say it, which is the bigger versions of bipedalism of something that would be like what we would consider a giant as gorilla, I guess. I think it's like Gigantopithecus. I guess that's how you say it. Let me see. Let me look it up real quick just to verify. I think it's called Gigantopithecus. I don't even know how to spell it, so I'm going to try to do it the best way.
Let me see if I can grab it real quick.
Yeah, Gigantopithecus is
Gigantopithecus
that ever lived. Yeah. Yeah, see?
Gigantopithecus. I never heard of it.
Yeah, they were about 10 feet high. And they in some ways practice bipedalism. And you can look.
All right, so maybe they crawled on 4 feet.
What they did, but they practice bipedalism. So, and what I mean by bipedalism is if they needed to, they could walk on their legs, on their two legs. But they were also quadrupedal, meaning that they used all four limbs to get around, something like orangutans almost. But you know that they can get up on their two legs and walk. Bipedalism, matter of fact, Australopithecus ramidus, they say is the idea for humans, but the Australopithecus afarensis, what we know as Lucy right now, the skeleton Lucy, the 3 foot tall animal, that's where
I remember Lucy.
most people, yeah, those are the ones that they consider the idea of where true bipedalism started.
You know, unfortunately, they didn't really teach us that when they found her. It was more about what her face looked like, from my remembrance. Yeah. They rebuilt her face.
Yeah, and that goes back that goes back almost 4 million years ago.
Where did they find her at? That was in Ethiopia, Africa, right?
Yep, Ethiopia. Yep, in 1974 they found her, and the reason why she's called Lucy is because it came from that song from, what was it, the Beatles, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see.
Which one?
The name Lucy.
I know Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. That's about LSD.
Oh no.
Hey, I was looking at your channel. You've got a lot of people that you've had on. Aaron Hines, Carl Crusher, Dan Richards. Oh, that was with the Occult Rejects.
Yep.
Are you mad at them? What's going on with you and the Occult Rejects?
Well, that's funny that you bring that up. So, so there's a guy named Headless Giant on there, right? So there was a day when I was on. That same day we did a live stream, and he said, "Hey, you should come to our space tonight." And he said, "I'm going to invite you to the space." Well, when I got to that space, it was a whole bunch of racist people in there. I'm 42 years old, living in 2025 right now. Of course, I have my picture on my profile, so they know I'm a black man, right? And they immediately started calling me the N-word. A couple of the guys said that they would kill me because of my skin color. I was with the Occult Rejects, and of course, Headless is with them also. I also have an issue with Mike and Dave. You know who Mike and Dave is too, because they inserted themselves in.
Say that more clearly. You say you do have an issue, or you do not?
Yeah, I do have an issue with Mike and Dave too, because of what's going on, and also with a couple of other people. But basically, Headless invited me to the space to be called, those racial slurs, and they, basically threatened my life and stuff like that. And
really?
Yeah, when I told Nick about it, you know who Nick is. He was the guy that was recording the Cosmic Summit. I told Nick personally, because I went to go support him at North Carolina at a Bigfoot convention. I was the only dude from the Occult Rejects that went there to go support him. And I told him, and the first thing he said to me was, "Man, I thought you was trying to bring the morale down in the group, because there was 12 people in the group. There's not 12 anymore. A lot of people actually left the group because of what was said to me." But he was like, "I thought you was trying to bring the group down and this, that, and the third." And then they started talking behind my back. And so I brought it to Nick's attention again, and he got mad. And of course, a lot of people
got mad at you, or got mad at them?
Yeah, got mad at me because I brought it up, right? So I don't talk to them anymore. I'm not part of the Occult Rejects in there. I still do keep my videos on there because I brought a lot of great information to the table, like I always do. So I'm not going to stop sharing my videos and stuff like that, because there's information in there. And plus, it's a journey. All this stuff is a journey for me. So just basically, all those individuals are people who basically supported, I feel like, supports racism. Because if you're supposed to be a team, you wouldn't invite a team member to a conversation to be called that name. And Twitter X has a lot of free speech in there, especially in their spaces. So they just felt comfortable enough to call me those racial slurs and threaten my life.
People that you knew, or people that, I mean, you knew the ones we were just talking about, but these trolls, these trolls came up. Were they somebody you knew also? I mean, did they know who you were?
I didn't know them. No. They know who Headless is, because apparently what I found out later on is that's Headless actually friends. That's his people. That's people that he's really cool with.
And we're talking the USA. We're talking what part of the USA?
I can't remember where they. I can't remember. I can't remember exactly where those guys stayed at, but I think they all stayed in different locations. But yeah, I have a recording of it. I posted it on Twitter X.
I remember that. I didn't know what was going on, and you mentioned it, and I already wasn't really paying attention to the rejects. I didn't really. I mean, there's so much stuff going on, and actually, you did make a statement about the what do you call it? The Cosmic Summit rejects. Was that you? Is that something similar or different?
No, that's they were Nick is part of the cult rejects, and the Cosmic Summit, the guy George Howard apparently needed people to video it, I guess, for his streaming and stuff like that. So he got a couple of people from different places to do it. Of course, Nick is from North Carolina, so it was easy for him to show up and go there. The reason why me and I don't have an issue with Mike, but I have an issue with Dave, because he hosted Nick after the fact that he knew what happened to me. So if you're a friend of mine, you will not host somebody who supports racism, right? You just won't do that. And later I found out, of course, because of him, he talked about how his stuff is a business. But I can tell you that I started looking at Dave differently because of the simple fact that when we was at Cosmic Summit, he was talking about his co-host, like negatively, like literally talking negative about him, talking about, he wants to kick him out. He wants to do this on his own with him and Britt.
His co-host Dave, or I'm sorry, Mike and Dave.
Yeah. He wanted.
Who was talking about who? I got mixed up.
Dave was talking about Mike at the Cosmic Summit. So, and then he also called me a couple of months ago at 2 a.m. in the morning talking about his wife and her sister. And the reason why is because, the whole thing with ICE that was going on and stuff like that, and illegal immigrants and all this stuff that was going on. And I guess apparently his sister-in-law, his wife's sister, is an illegal immigrant. So he called me up and started talking very negatively about them. So when I hear somebody talking bad about a business partner and their family member or wife, why would I put any trust in you after that? You know what I mean? Why would you think that I'm going to sit here, especially if you already know who I am? Because you already know who I am, Stig. You've told me plenty of times, don't call out these people, but I call them out because people need to know.
I didn't say, whoa, slow down. I'm not.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm not saying, no, I'm talking about when you talked about the personal stuff. You remember earlier you said that I like to put some of the personal stuff in my videos. And the reason why is because people actually DM me and say, hey, why aren't you with the Occult Reject anymore? Or why aren't you on Mike and Dave's Multiverse anymore? Or why haven't you been on Universe Unveiled? I was with the Universe Unveiled, also two chicks that hosted 3 or 4 other people along with me and Ricardo. And they
say that
hosted,
again, the Church of what? The Church of
the two chicks, the Universe Unveiled chicks that host 3 other people that was including with me. They also hosted and gave the platform and did a video and discussion with Headless Giant also. Now, one of them has a child that's a mixed child like I am. Like I'm mixed. I've said that plenty of times. My mom is white, my father is black. And she actually has a mixed child. And for her to host somebody who did what they did to me just lets me know that, even in the sense of having a child that's mixed is crazy.
Well, let me just say one thing. I believe when I said don't talk about certain things, It was something that happened to me specifically regarding Cosmic Summit. And
Oh, I don't ever bring that up. Yeah,
I say
I
it.
ain't gonna bring that up.
I've been disinvited to the next Cosmic Summit, and we've got 39
I'll
viewers.
be honest with you. I've already came to this conclusion. There's no reason for me to go to any more conventions or conferences unless I do my own. Unless I host my own, which I am going to. I actually have a place here in my hometown that's offering me, once they refinish doing the building and stuff like that, they're actually going to let me do a conference there. And they already gave me a good price on that. So I'm going to do my personal own conference. And the only reason why I said that I don't think it's worth going to these conferences or conventions anymore is I think I've been to enough to realize that at this point, it's just the same people who would talk to you in front of your face will be the same ones that talk about your back. But because it's a business and money grabbing ideas, they don't care about the truth. Like if they want the truth, they wouldn't have half the people that speaks up there on that stage that they have. Because I can tell you, when I was at Cosmic Summit, some of the stuff some of the people were saying, and I'm not going to name names, but some of the people that they said the same thing in their YouTube videos. I'll give, you know what, matter of fact, I will give one name. Randall Carson. You mentioned Randall Carson earlier. He has a video out there that talks about Homo sapiens going back only 200,000 years. Okay. Homo sapiens since 2012, from a peer-reviewed article, goes back at least 300,000 years. And they go back, and it goes, and those individuals or those bones that they found goes back to Morocco, Africa.
Right.
200,000 years.
There was also one that said 1 million. I've seen a paper recently that said 1 million. And so Morocco is 300,000, and that's where I believe Atlantis was. Come on. That's where I've been to. I'm going back. I'm going to go back to Morocco a third time.
But that's what I'm saying is that he talked about that too, and he's still putting out that 200,000 year idea. That's no longer
deflection.
Correct. So,
deflection. Why is he doing that? Yeah, you're calling out Randall Carlson right now. Let's call out Randall Carlson right now, because honestly, go on. Yeah,
he has a video that says that. And it's amazing that you can go up on the stage and talk about this and don't even care about updating your information. You know, I've already said it. I already have a PowerPoint slide or slides ready for for my first convention that I want to do. And before I even go on stage, I'm going to go back and make sure that, hey, is this information still relevant today? Do I need to update my thinking? And this is the problem. If you don't update your thinking, if you don't update, okay, first of all, if Randall Carlson says history only goes back for the Homo sapiens 200,000 years ago, then when that information changes because they get new information from that, are you going to change your whole argument for everything after that? Probably not. Why? Because nobody likes to change their narrative. Nobody likes to look like they're wrong. If I'm wrong about it,
I mean, when you discover new stuff, you should talk about it. This is why Randall Carlson called me out in Sedona 4 Easters ago, and I looked for that clip on the video, and it was removed. And then later, I met him again with you. You were with me when we were hanging out, and Randall was there, and I didn't really get involved because the message he's sending is deflecting, and it's basically making people look away from the truth, in my opinion. And we're talking about Atlantis. Atlantis is a big one for me because he just did a tour in the Azores. And what do you got in the Azores? You don't got nothing in the Azores. And what do you got you got 1,000-year-old buildings in the Azores. I'm going to show you stuff. And look at this. This is my screen share right here. And there's stuff I'm trying to point out to Randall Carlson, and nobody talks about it. And because Google Earth, it shows this stuff, and nobody mentions it. This is not this right here. Whatever this is that I'm showing you, it's more than just that. There's more. There's more right here. There's more. It proves it's not just natural. whatever they did, they terraformed the earth. That earth was been terraformed. And I talk about this, and I talk about that. This whole mountain in Tibesti has been terraformed. You can see the lines in the mountainside. So this whole Sahara, you know, and then Chad, and then that was Chad. And then Niger, I call it the upside down Homo Simpson with a little face. These circular dikes. I don't know what the hell is going on there. And then Mali over here. There's more. And then we have the Rashat structure. You know me, I've been there 3 times. I went there. And the place that's right next to the highest point in the Adrar Plateau has a bunch of stuff going on. Right here, you can't see. Nobody knows. It's connected to all this. And this has been ancient mining, in my opinion, terraforming. And yeah, and we got deflection going on by people like Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock, our heroes. They are our heroes.
No,
They are.
I can
our
say
heroes.
I'll say Graham Hancock is a hero, because he just wants to know. I know a lot of people talk about him being racism and stuff like that. I literally have.
Fuck the racism, but he did to me directly said, I don't want to give you my email address because people get angry when I don't respond to their emails. That's a cop-out. Even Graham Hancock's got to protect himself. And he said that to me. And the reason I always got a little angry about it, but I got to remember he's got a million guys like me communicating with him.
Yeah.
A million guys like me are reaching out to him. Now, I've actually met him twice. And the second time I said that, I said, hey, give me your email. I'd love to. And he's like, no. And yeah, because he's busy. He's fucking busy.
You know, this is my thing. Look, and I'll be 100% honest with you. I love when people challenge me. I love having interactions with people. I can imagine how many people is hitting him up, but you're in the public eye. You know, it's too easy to get on stream and say what you need to say and read the comments, right? And you can always limit who you talk to. You know what I'm saying? To me, I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't know how to handle a situation where people are always coming at me, but I'm damn sure making sure that I'm going to make sure that I pay attention to what a lot of people say. And the reason why is because if you take the responsibility of wanting to know instead of sitting up here just saying whatever you want to say, then you have to talk to other people, because there's not one. He's too busy. First of all, he doesn't have the time to read all the text that he possibly wants to, right? He won't. And there are plenty of gems out there of people who can drop knowledge and give somebody knowledge. If you truly want to know something, you're going to spend your time doing it. Even if it's an hour out the day. Hey, I'm going to get on for in about an hour. You got any questions? Let's talk in the chat. Hit me up in chat. You know what I'm saying? I don't see these people doing it. And it's a reason why is because it's their business. They got to get money. They have to get money somehow. Like I said, the reason why I have an issue with Dave now is because he personally told me this is a business for him, right? If it's a business for you, then you're going to do whatever it is you can do to make the most money, even though if it's at the basic, $10, $15, $20, $30, $40, you're going to do whatever it is to make money. I'm not here for the money. I don't care about the money. That's why I am so ruthless that I am now. That's why I have no problem calling out people and their stupidity. Block me all you want. But guess what? The internet is forever. And as long as the internet's forever, somebody's going to eventually run across my videos and be like, damn, these people are fooling themselves. You know what I'm saying? If you treat this as a business, then you no longer have my respect. This is not a business for me. And I had said this the first moment that I created my website 5 years ago, rebirthoftheword.com. I said that I would never, ever monetize my website. Everything that I do on my website is free. You can literally read articles. You can watch videos on my YouTube. I made top podcaster on Good Pods a couple of times, top 100. I'm a bestseller. The only thing that I charge for is my book. And I gave away more books than no, I'm not going to say I gave more books than I sold. I gave away more of my personal books that I bought personally for myself to just give out to people that I know around my neighborhood, around my city, from different states and stuff. I literally gave out different books just to give people the opportunity. I spent money buying my own books, not because every author has to, every author that goes through a publisher has to buy a certain amount of books. That's just something. I had to buy 20 copies of my own books, right? That's just part of the thing. I bought 20 of those books. I gave out about 10 or 15 of those books for free because some people can't afford them. I also give away PDF files of my book. If I wanted money from this
right now, this is the way of the future. Forget, okay, look, all these affiliate links, gold, seeds. I do a lot of different stuff. And here's the new deal. That's all getting mainstream too much. You've got to focus on immediate profits, your ebook, your PDFs. These are the digital assets that you need to sell on your videos. Don't sell shit that belongs to somebody else. It's your shit. It's your digital asset. You're selling it. The minute you get the money, you get the product gets sent, and it's done deal. That's the way to go now.
This is how I look at it. If you truly want to support me, all I've ever asked is for anybody just to go to my website or subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's all I've ever asked. That's free. That is literally free. I can monetize my YouTube and make money from my YouTube channel. That's easy. If you truly want to support me.
To an extent, but now YouTube's over. I mean, YouTube is the platform, but the making money from YouTube is over. And so now you've got to do your own website. And
but see, that's the thing. I know. That's what I'm saying is that I came into this not wanting to be rich off of it. I'm well off enough where I don't have to depend on creating content to make money. You see what I'm saying? If that makes sense. I don't have to be greedy. I'm perfectly fine where I'm at. I have a roof over my head. I have the truck that I wanted. You know, I have food in the refrigerator. I am happy with what I'm able to do. Do I want more? I can be a millionaire and want $2 million. I can be a multimillionaire and want to be a billionaire. It will never end. But what good is that if I have to constantly be trying to please people? I'm not here to please anybody. The whole reason why I do what I do is because I'm tired of the misinformation and the bad information that's out there. If I wanted to please everybody, I would just talk so highly of all these books. You know what I'm saying? I would say, hey, this book is 100% right. Go get this book. Buy it. Go get it. Go get it. Go get it. You know what I'm saying? But I go in there and read the book and be like, yo, this person made up this stuff, and I can tell you the reason why. And I can show you the reason why. And I'll bring up the facts, and I'll bring up the sources. I don't have to make up anything. And that's part of my love for this history, is that history is not for me to get rich off. History is for people to learn. And I'm bringing that knowledge to the table, and that's the only thing that I care about. Now, if I want to make money off of it, then I would be just like the 95% of these people that's doing it. I would go around and saying, yeah, you're right to everybody. Matter of fact, when I go on, when I have, you know what I'm saying, that's the easiest ways to do it. I would never talk negative about somebody. I would say Randall Carson is right. Homo sapiens only go back 200,000 years. And I would have to dismiss the new scientific articles and peer-reviewed articles out there. Now, why in the hell would I want to do that? I got a couple of reasons.
I got a couple of reasons. Take a look at the peer-reviewed articles that were written about the Rashad structure. They're just jokes. They're just
and that's my point.
Gatekeepers.
That's my point, is that when I find out that people are creating a whole new narrative, I call it out. I don't care if it's a scientific article, academia, or somebody exoteric or esoteric. If you're creating a new narrative, I will cross-reference what you say. I won't just read what you say. I'm going to read your sources, because everybody has to get a source from somewhere, and I'm going to find that source.
The mainstream troll gatekeepers don't give sources. They just tell you what they think, and that's
why I look for it. That's why I look for it. And you know what's so easy? we talked about ChatGPT and Grok and all these other things. None of these AI things are 100%, right? But if you ask ChatGPT, if you say, give me a source for this, you can go get that source and you can read it for yourself. And you can see if they was making up something or not. You can even take that source, put it in a PDF file, give it to ChatGPT and say, analyze this for me. You just have to know how to use a whole entire you have to use your sources correctly. Sherman says stop calling Sitchin a liar. I tell you what, sir, I'll send you right now $50, Sherman, if you can give me the cuneiform tablet identifier that says that the Sumerians said that the Anunnaki came from planet Nibiru that orbit our sun every 3,600 years and needed gold for their own planet, so that's why they came here. I would send him $50 or her right now, whoever it is, $50 right now, because that's what the part that Sitchin is lying on. That's why I say he's lying. He's not lying about everything. I even mentioned that in my series where I'd go over his books. I don't think everything he's lying on. There's just certain things that he is lying on, right?
Or could it be a mistranslation? You say the word liar, that's quite harsh. Could it be a mistranslation?
It's not a mistranslation, because if it's a mistranslation, where's the cuneiform digital initiative or cuneiform digital identifier that says that? If it's a mistranslation, then I would be able to see that for myself. If he's lying,
or maybe he just doesn't know. There might be something else, right? I mean, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate.
You're right.
Here.
You're absolutely right. But it's not me that's saying that. It's his sources that are calling him a liar. He's calling himself a liar. Because if you have the actual source that somebody can read and cross-reference, then you will present that. He doesn't present that in any of his. Matter of fact, if you go back and read or if you go watch the video, the Anunnaki Chronicles, one of his books that his niece published on behalf of him after he passed away in 2010, he literally says in that book that there are no sources that actually talk about Anu's abode, which is basically Nibiru. That's what he says. So if there's no actual sources this whole time that you was alive, these are unpublished works that he wrote in that book, or that his niece published on his behalf. If he was going during his lifetime being alive saying that, and then I read after he passes away that, you know, there's really no actual text on there, then you were lying. You were lying to us in real time. And I've even said it in that video that his niece, Janet Sitchin, actually did him more wrong than good, because she published those unpublished works for him on his behalf. You know, and let's just for clarity's sake, because you know me, what I like to do is I like to go to the origins of words, right? And one of my favorite sources is the etymology dictionary, which I actually have a copy of. Bring this up real quick, Stig. I like to use this website called etymonline.com.
Okay, there's a little issue. What's going on here? I'm trying to add it. Remove other media from the stream. Okay, whatever. That's me. Okay, remove that. Okay, go on. There you are. Liar.
So this is what liar means. It's one who knowingly utters falsehoods, right? That's from 13th century. A liar, false witness, hypocrite, and you know, it's a noun from the Anglian Legion. Now, speak falsely, tell an untruth for the purpose of misleading. That's why I call him a liar, because he's telling an untruth for the purpose of a misleading. Why do I say for the purpose of misleading? If you go back to my video and you go watch the Anunnaki Chronicles, what I've learned from reading this book on there, right? Because like I said, I always go through every book that I personally own. He literally says the Nephilim means those who came from heaven to earth. If you go to the Strong's Concordance, and anybody who knows what the Strong's Concordance is basically the translations from Aramaic Aramaic and Hebrew to the Greek language, which of course we get the Septuagint from. If you read what Nephilim means in there, all it stands for is fallen. And I'll bring that up because I don't have to lie about it. But if he has studied, and he says this in his book, if he studied for 30 years the original text, bring this one up real quick. If he studied this stuff for 30 years, you made me bigger.
Oh, I see. I'm coming. Hold on. Coming soon. Keep talking.
And he says that he had an no wrong. Oh, that's the wrong one. Hold on, let me see. Let me bring it up. Hold on. All right, bring this up. So he literally says that the Nephilim had an argument with his teacher that the Nephilim did not mean giants, that it literally meant those who came from heaven to earth. Well, you go to the Strong Concordance, like I said, which is the translations from Aramaic to and Hebrew to Greek language, you will see right here the origins of that word just meant fallen. I don't know why he's doing that, but right here it says fall, and it meant giant. It literally meant giants. But in his book, he's misleading people and saying that Nephilim means those who came from heaven to earth. And even then, when you can see right here giants. It literally says giants, one before the flood and one after the flood. And he even has in that book just by itself, and I've already went over this. It's a video. I've already have it. He says different versions of what the Anunnaki meant. So, or Nephilim meant, because he considers the Nephilim and the Anunnaki one and the same in that book. So for me to call somebody a liar or I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just using the word correctly according to the definition, not because I want to be mad at him or anything like that and make him look bad, because he literally says that he studied the original languages for 30 years. And if that's so, then why are you adding words to the stuff that doesn't need to be added? And that's the only reason why. I mean, I know it sounds bad, but that's why I say people have to get out of their feelings, because your feelings don't matter when it comes to the facts. Your feelings don't matter when it's the truth. It only matters to make you feel good as a person. And if you need your feelings to feel, if you need something like that to make you feel good, and I'll be honest with you, I think you have low self-esteem and you need to do some soul searching, right? Because why would I be upset at the fact that you're doing things? And I know people will say, well, what about when those people invited you to that space and called you those racial slurs? We're living in 2025. I'm a 42-year-old man that's raising 3 black kids. Okay. Why in the hell would I not be angry that there's still racism? You know what I mean? Why wouldn't I? Because those are the same people who will possibly hurt my kids. I live in the South. I live in Georgia, so I know what racism looks like. And matter of fact, not to go back to that, Mike lives in Georgia too. Dave also lives in Georgia. But what's so interesting about Dave is that he lives in what the most famous sundown town in Georgia. And you know,
really, what's that town? No, I don't know. What town?
So sundown towns are basically where.
No, I know what I know what a sundown town is, but go ahead and continue and define that. But then, what town are you talking about?
He lives in Forsyth. He lives it's near Atlanta, Georgia. It's famous for it's a famous place where, you know, black people aren't really, you know, I mean, there are people there now because it's getting, you know, it's changing, but there's still a lot of racism that's still there. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's not necessarily the words that bother me. It's the misleading of what happened. And that's why I say Sitchin, in his sense, if he studied this for 30 years, then he should give people the facts and not what he wants to believe. You know what I'm saying? And we also have to remember of Sitchin's background too. You know, the guy Michael S. Heiser. He's the one that actually called out Sitchin and his lies, right? By in so many words, he made he made a website. He actually has a website called sitchiniswrong.com. Do you know how pissed off and mad you have to be to make a website called Sitchin is Wrong? You know what I mean? So it's not me that's calling him a liar. He's calling himself a liar by how he presented and what he presented in his works. Especially now that we had, he passed away in 2010. There's so many sources that came out after that he could have used. Of course, after that there's no way for him to, but it is what it is. You're on mute.
Because I was looking up sitchiniswrong.com, trying to get that website. Couldn't find it by that. I got to type it in. I tried to use a voice.
Yeah, SITCHIN is wrong in .com, and you'll see.
SITCHIN. Let's see if that works. Sitchin is wrong. Come on,
see what I'm saying?
There it is. Yeah, it came up. And now I can share it. Sitchiniswrong.com.
Yeah, see?
What's this all about? And by the way, what's going on here? That's it? Okay, so this is home. Then we got Dr. Heiser. Then we got Nibiru. Very hard to see this. Let's make it bigger.
Yeah, he gives a complete breakdown on Sitchin.
What's this? Oh, Sherman's still talking. Can't read. Okay, so Sherman.
Hey, hold on. Give me a second. I'll be right back.
All right. Sherman said some stuff. I'm just going through this site real quick. Sitchiniswrong.com. Dr. Heiser. I'm trying to read it real quick, so give me a second. All right, I don't quite see the point with that. Nibiru, the 12th planet. Let's look at Nibiru real quick. Sorry, I'm sneezing. The 12th planet. And I know what this is all about. And you see right there, that is the exact same repeat as over there because it's a clay tablet roll. Sherman, what are you talking about? You don't trust Heiser. Who's Heiser?
Heiser is the guy that's his website.
Well,
and you know Sherman, what? Not for nothing. Not for nothing.
Thank you, Anna.
Not for nothing. Sherman, I agree with.
Go on.
I agree with Sherman. On trusting Heiser's work also. I don't agree with everything Heiser says. When he talks about Nibiru or the sun, when he's talking about cylinder seal VA243, which is the seal that Zecharia Sitchin is usually holding when he's trying to describe the 12th planet, is the cylinder seal that he believes is the 12th planet that includes Nibiru. When he gives his description of that right there. So you see on the top left corner. So bring up that cylinder. On the bottom, you should be okay. So you see on the top hand left corner where you see the stars or the sun, and then you see those little dots around there. Okay, so Dr. Michael S. Heiser on his website, he says that has to do more with Pleiades, and that's that big old thing that's in the middle that looks like the sun. He says that's not the sun because there's no depiction of that in this Mesopotamian text that actually says that's the sun. But when I was a little kid, that's exactly how I drew the sun. I would draw a circle and I would put like triangles around it to indicate rays, basically, right? And
Okay,
this was
maybe, but I know the Pleiades, and that doesn't
Yeah.
look anything like Pleiades to me.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. He talks about that it has more to do with Pleiades than it does with the 12th planet. And I don't agree with Dr. Michael S. Heiser about that either. So that's why I said earlier, I don't understand where he gets that from. And he doesn't really expand on that. Maybe I need to read some of his other books and get some more ideas on it. But he was a very religious man too, just like Sitchin was.
I'm sorry, I
So-
don't even know who Heiser is. Sherman Osborne says, I think Heiser is the true liar. Who's Heiser?
That's him. That's his website, Sitchin.com. Sitchiniswrong.com.
This
That's his
website.
website. Yeah, look on the left. You see where it says home and Dr. Heiser? That's his stuff.
Sitchiniswrong.com. That's him. Okay. All right. So we don't need to keep showing this. I mean, maybe, but the next story is that Anna, and by the way, love Anna so much. Anna, on your channel, I tried to go on my channel to find her. No, it's your channel. She enjoys listening to you so much. Thank you, Anna. She came over to my channel, gave me a super thanks. Thank you, Anna. Anyways, hey, I was hoping Bernie would cut it in here, but he's not here yet.
Yeah, we might as well end it. We've been going for 2 hours and 35 minutes. I mean, like I told you, man, we can go live every 2 or 3 days if you want to.
2 or 3
Different
days.
subject.
I want to go every 2 or 3 hours. I want to be live every 2 or 3 hours. Let's do it. I want to be live every 2 or 3 seconds. Come on.
Matter of fact, today, later on today, I'm going boots on ground and making a video and adding it to my Rumble about this place called Fort Pulaski. So just to give you an idea of Fort Pulaski, I actually did I wrote an article. Let's see, I want to say a couple of months ago. But it's basically it's basically a place in Savannah, Georgia, and it was built in 1829 or something like that. But it has to do with the Civil War. And what's so interesting, and I'm glad we're about to close it out because this is a perfect time to close it out. The reason why I'm going back to do a video on it is because all the places that I've wrote articles on, local history portions, I'm going back and doing videos on. They have bricks that they made there, right? And the fingerprints of the Africans that helped build that fort are their fingerprints. So when you was talking about fingerprints of the gods and all this other stuff
On the bricks. On the bricks.
Yeah, they use that as a signature. So I want to go back and
There's
make
a lot of bricks.
Yeah.
Check in the Tartarian bricks too.
And
Well,
that's why
okay.
that's why I want to go back, because if you look at the Tartarian history, a lot of their signatures is from fingerprints in the bricks, or at least that's what I've read. I've never been able to fully, agree with that.
There's a lot of okay, first of all, I'm the guy that went to the Rashad structure 3 times. Okay, so let's not forget that. And yeah, there's some stuff out there that needs to be addressed. And yeah, the bricks in San Francisco, that whole area along do you know Trekker Wills? I am Kairos. Dude's got some brick stories. So yeah, I want to read. There's so much to talk about, and it's so easy to forget about stuff. So it's frustrating to me. That's why I took off my hat, and I'm showing my full baldness now. We're getting my whole. I'm gonna go to Turkey. We're gonna get this filled in right here. Just joking. All right, bro. Well, I'll tell you what. I don't know what happened to. There's so many things to talk about. I was just chatting with Bernie, and he's just not showing up. And that was like an hour ago. He said maybe in 20 minutes. 6:49, and now it's 10 p.m. What the heck? So this is 3 hours. And so it's been about 2 hours since he said that. So I don't think we can count on Bernie getting in here. But it's amazing, these stories, what you're doing on your channel. You're talking about the Epic of Gilgamesh. I want you to. One thing I want to say is try to follow a thing where you tell everything about the book, like when, where, why, how, and before you get into your personal diatribes on them. And like, this book was probably written by this dude, probably about this time period. Gilgamesh is about this time period. And what I heard was the book was written 2000 BC, but Gilgamesh was 2700 BC. What do you think?
Yeah, like I said, the time frames is different because it depends on what you consider their writing system. Was it the depictions, the pictographic script, or was it the actual cuneiform wedge style that they use? And nobody really can say. You know, I show actually, if you go back and watch that entire video, you will see where I went to the Cuneiform Digital Library of Initiative and actually brought up the cuneiform tablets themselves and gave the dates from those tablets themselves.
Exactly. Well, and I think you told us those dates, right? Oh, whoops! I'm pulling out my wires down here. It's a good sign to get out of here, bro. Honestly, I'm usually in bed by now. It's almost 10 p.m. I'm usually asleep. Yesterday, I went to bed 3 hours ago. So yeah, it's that's the new me. That's the new me.
I'm gonna be
Wait till you reach my age.
I hope I get the luxury to reach your age. Shit.
58, man. Of course you're going to. You know why?
16 more years for me.
Oh my gosh. Let's not even get into it. All right, bro. Let's do this again like tomorrow. I want to do it every day. I really want to get this stuff hashed out. Let's get it going. Maybe not tomorrow, but let's get it going.
Did you watch the 12th Planet? The first one from Zachariah Sitchin? It's not a live. It was actually a recording, or it was live, but I didn't go live on YouTube. So it's under the videos section. The 12th Planet. Watch that one. That's actually the bread and butter of Zachariah Sitchin stuff.
Well, but then now I don't know if I can trust him. I don't know what we're trusting anymore. I got to even go through this again. I got to get Sitchiniswrong.com right in front of me. And then we got the other guy, Van Daniken. Is he wrong too? I mean, you've talked a lot about it, but let's get into it next time.
We can talk about Eric Von Daniken next time. Shit, hell, that can be added to part of what I've learned from reading this book. I can go over the tabs in there, and we can talk about the tabs.
I think people really want to know the truth, and people aren't able to read the actual books. You've done it.
You don't have time.
Man, me neither. I haven't either. I don't want to read that. So I need you. I need you to tell me the truth. Thank you so much.
All right,
Tyrone, let's do this again real soon. I'm going to hang up and go right into the bed. I'm going to go right. Do you see my finger? Right into the bed. Just like when we were talking the other night. I literally hung up the phone. I sent one text that said to Bernie, I'm not going to be here, but you talk to Tyrone. And then I went straight to bed. It was like 7:45. I wake up every day at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then the sun comes up at 7. So it gives me 2 hours to think about shit. I love waking up early. Yeah, I do. I love it. All right, bro. Let's hang up. Let's talk soon. I'm out. I'm out of here.
Right.
Hanging up.
Take it easy, bro.
End stream, bro. Good night. Thank you so much. And by the way, you did all the talking. Thank you so much. You talked about a lot. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.
Take it easy, bro.